Chapter 2421. I want to see how you'll make amends. Lin Moyu wasted no time in taking action. The bone hell instantly swallowed up a large number of water masses. The water masses themselves, including the beings inside them, were constantly screaming and wailing in the bone hell. Yongming Heavenly Venerate roared, "Stop!" Unfortunately, Lin Moyu didn't listen to him at all. The skeleton kings raised their bone swords and attacked the water masses. There were several giant water masses with auras reaching the Heavenly Venerate realm, and they were the targets of the skeleton kings. Faced with opponents tens or hundreds of times their number, these Heavenly Venerate level water masses had no chance of defending themselves. Yongming Heavenly Venerate's anger rose, and he shouted somewhat exasperatedly, "I told you to stop, didn't you hear me?" Exclamation mark quote. His aura surged, and the pressure of a mid-level Heavenly Venerate spread through the void, crushing towards Lin Moyu. Kei-jun stepped forward, standing in front of Lin Moyu to block the pressure for him. Lin Moyu's voice slowly transmitted, "Senior, you need to think carefully. Once you take action, there's no turning back. The outcome of a world contest isn't really a big deal. As long as you're still alive, anything is possible." Yongming Heavenly Venerate said coldly, "You think you can kill me?" Although Kei-jun was also a mid-level Heavenly Venerate, this was the Yongming world, his world. Here, he could command wind and rain. Even if all 400 skeleton kings attacked together, they might not be able to kill him. Using his home field advantage, he could enhance himself and suppress his opponents, able to fight or flee as he wished. Lin Moyu said, "Senior is very confident in his abilities. That's a good thing, but whether we can kill you or not, we'll only know after trying. If you want to try, I'll be happy to oblige, but you only get one chance." Yongming Heavenly Venerate stared intently at Lin Moyu, killing intent rising in his eyes. He had indeed thought about taking action, but his last bit of reason was still warning him, telling him to reconsider. Lin Moyu continued, "Clear Spirit Heavenly Venerate understood better than you. Life and death are paramount. Losing a world contest is just losing. At worst, you can try again. If you can truly become a Tao Venerate, the opportunity may not necessarily lie in world contests." As he spoke, huge legions appeared behind Lin Moyu. 100 Dragon Rider legions were densely arrayed in the void, each legion numbering over 10 million. The Dragon Riders' bodies were wreathed in undying flames, their aura terrifyingly powerful. The combat power of the Dragon Rider Legion commanders alone had reached the low-level Heavenly Venerate realm. With their command abilities added, their combat power was comparable to the Skeleton Kings. Even the captains within the legions had all reached the low-level Heavenly Venerate realm in combat power. Although the individual Dragon Riders in the legions only had peak supreme combat power, legion warfare was never judged by individual combat power. The most crucial point was their astonishing numbers. 100 Dragon Rider legions, over 10 billion Dragon Riders, occupied a vast expanse of the void. If surrounded, Yongming Heavenly Venerate would be lucky to escape with his life. The appearance of the Dragon Rider legions was like a bucket of cold water poured over Yongming Heavenly Venerate's head. It instantly sobered him up. He realized that the high-level Supreme before him had only displayed a portion of his strength. What he had seen so far was not Lin Moyu's full power. If he really took action, he might be met with a thunderous counterattack. At that point, not only would he lose the world contest, but he might also lose his life here. Heavenly Venerates all cherished their lives. They could live for a very long time, and none of them wanted to die. Losing a world contest was just losing. At worst, it meant missing an opportunity, but there would be more chances in the future. But if he lost his life, that would be the end of everything. Lin Moyu could guess Yongming Heavenly Venerate's thoughts from his eyes. It seems Senior has understood. Yongming Heavenly Venerate looked at Lin Moyu with a complex gaze, then looked back at his Yongming world. Water-like beings were being swallowed up by the bone hell, and the few strongest Heavenly Venerate level ones were being surrounded and killed by the Skeleton Kings. With his Heavenly Venerate eyesight, he could clearly see that defeat was certain. Resignation appeared in Yongming Heavenly Venerate's eyes. Finally, he looked coldly at Lin Moyu and asked, "What's your name?" Lin Moyu openly admitted, "Lin Moyu." Yongming Heavenly Venerate nodded, "I'll remember you. When you come to the Origin Continent in the future, I'll treat you to a drink." A drink? A farewell drink? Lin Moyu knew he had definitely offended Yongming Heavenly Venerate, but not to the point of mortal enemies. Lin Moyu said, "If I have the fortune to set foot on the Origin Continent in the future, I'll apologize to Senior in person." One doesn't hit a smiling face. Lin Moyu's thick skin was at its limit. For a moment, Yongming Heavenly Venerate couldn't even utter any harsh words. After all, the other party was only a high-level supreme, while he was already a mid-level Heavenly Venerate. There was an insurmountable gap between them, yet despite this, he had still lost. Yongming Heavenly Venerate felt very unwilling in his heart, but he had no choice but to admit defeat. He didn't even dare to take action personally. In the end, Yongming Heavenly Venerate left with a trace of unwillingness, dropping a harsh, parting shot. Fine, I want to see how you'll make amends when the time comes. After saying this, he left the Yongming world and decisively severed his connection with it. Once a Heavenly Venerate made a decision, they would be very decisive. This way, whatever happened to the Yongming world would have nothing to do with him anymore. Outside the world, in the World Sea, Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate suddenly sensed Yongming Heavenly Venerate and immediately transmitted, "Friend Yongming, what happened?" Yongming Heavenly Venerate sighed, "There's a guy in that world who fights dirty. He directly invaded the Yongming world. I couldn't beat him, so I had to admit defeat. Our plan has failed." Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate's face changed drastically. "There's such a strong person in that world." Yongming Heavenly Venerate snorted angrily, "The most infuriating thing is, that guy is only a high-level supreme." Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate showed a look of disbelief. "How is that possible?" Yongming Heavenly Venerate sighed, "We all underestimated the foundation of a 6th-level world. How could a world that was once so powerful be weak?" Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate instantly understood the meaning behind Yongming Heavenly Venerate's words. It wasn't that high-level supreme who defeated Yongming Heavenly Venerate, but the foundation left behind by the 6th-level world. This made sense. Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate consoled him, "We've never seen how strong a 6th-level world is. We were just guessing based on our own assumptions. Perhaps our guesses were wrong. The 6th-level world is much stronger than we thought. It's normal for you to have lost, friend Yongming." Yongming Heavenly Venerate said, "That's what I wanted to tell you too, friend Flying Elixir. Losing is just losing. As long as we're still alive, there will be plenty of opportunities." Clear Spirit Heavenly Venerate had meant the same thing earlier. Losing a world contest was just losing. Staying alive was the priority. Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate nodded, "Thank you for the reminder, friend Yongming. I'll keep it in mind." Yongming Heavenly Venerate took one last look at his Yongming world, gritting his teeth, "You brat, I want to see how you'll make amends to me." Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate watched Yongming Heavenly Venerate leave and sighed. Their plan had failed, and his Flying Elixir world was also about to collide with the Great World. No, to be precise, the other side would invade the Flying Elixir world before the collision. Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate said softly, "No matter what, I have to try. My Flying Elixir world isn't easy to bully." He plunged into the Flying Elixir world to prepare for the world battle. A moment later, a ball of fire enveloped the entire Yongming world. The Yongming world rapidly shrank in the firelight, gradually disappearing. Lin Moyu used the world-burning fire to refine the entire world. This was his first time refining a complete world, and the effect of the world-burning fire was surprisingly good. The world was constantly being refined, rapidly shrinking, and the impurities in its origin were also being removed during the refining process. The world-burning fire not only refined the world but also purified its origin in the process. Soon, Lin Moyu obtained a world crystal, an origin crystal refined from a 5th-level world. Chapter 2422, 2422. Chapter 2422. I have always been upright and honest. The origin crystals can be divided into many types. Even within the same tier, there are differences in quality. Lin Moyu had seen many 5th-tier origin crystals, and their quality was not much different. Compared to the 5th-tier origin refined from a 5th-tier world, although they are all 5th-tier origins, the difference is quite obvious. Lin Moyu felt that the 5th-tier origin he had fused was far inferior to this world crystal. Even a 6th-tier origin seemed to be inferior to it. If we were to rank origins, the origin refined from a World Sea world would definitely be the top-tier existence among origins of the same level. This is why those heavenly venerates come to the World Sea for world contests, all for these top-tier origins. This world crystal could be used to integrate into his own spells, and the effect would be quite good. It could also be used to enhance his rule world, allowing him to break through to a higher realm. Not to mention becoming a heavenly venerate, reaching the peak supreme would definitely not be a problem. Lin Moyu thought for a moment and finally decided to let the Great World absorb the world crystal. He still wanted to strengthen his connection with the great world and become the master of the world as soon as possible. In the World Sea, a world without a master always has many inconveniences. Lin Moyu did not return to the great world for the time being. The flying elixir world was about to arrive, and he would let the great world absorb it after dealing with the flying elixir world. In the mist, the two worlds were getting closer and closer. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate was drinking and watching the show in the World Sea. Unexpectedly, that brat really did it. It seems that brat's strength has increased again. Every time his realm improves, his strength increases a bit. And his spells seem a bit strange, some can even invoke the power of the Great Tao, unlike the spells in the World Sea world. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate shook his head. Even with his knowledge, he couldn't quite understand it. But since he couldn't figure it out, Shuiji Heavenly Venerate simply stopped thinking about it and continued to enjoy his drink. Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate completed his preparations and appeared outside the world again, looking at the approaching great world. The 6th tier world broke through the mist and appeared in front of Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate. Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate showed an expression similar to Yongming Heavenly Venerate's. The oppressive feeling brought by the 6th tier world could not be felt from a distance. The once great world had 8 Heavenly Venerates, and there was even a mysterious master close to a Tao Venerate. The Heavenly Venerates in the world had already begun to seek the path to becoming Tao Venerates, indicating that these Heavenly Venerates were no longer low-level Heavenly Venerates. The Great World had also devoured hundreds of worlds, large and small, over countless years. The combination of these factors gave the Great World an unimaginable oppressive force. Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate swallowed a mouthful of saliva, forcibly suppressing his inner agitation. He really wanted to devour this powerful 6th tier world, but he knew it would be very difficult. Not long after the 6th tier world broke through the mist, he saw Lin Moyu sitting on top of the world. Lin Moyu slowly stood up and cupped his fists in greeting. Junior Lin Moyu greets Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate. Very polite. Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate had thought Lin Moyu was some fierce and evil character, but now he looked like a courteous young man. Indeed, his cultivation is at the high level supreme, relying on the foundation left behind. Is the foundation of a 6th tier world really this terrifying? Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate thought to himself while responding politely, "Are you the strongest in this world?" Lin Moyu smiled slightly. Yongming Heavenly Venerate should have already informed you of the situation. I also hope that you won't personally intervene. The outcome of the world contest is not that important to you, right? Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate said in a low voice, "It's important, but compared to life, it's not that important." Lin Moyu smiled. "I really envy you, senior, being able to come and go freely. But for me, this world contest can only be won, not lost." Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate naturally understood the meaning behind Lin Moyu's words. Their identities were different. He came from the origin continent and participated in the world contest in the World Sea. If he lost, it would just be a waste of some time and energy. The destruction of the world had nothing to do with him. He could simply leave. But Lin Moyu was born in the World Sea world, a native being of the World Sea world, bound to the World Sea world from birth. Losing the world contest meant 2 possible outcomes for Lin Moyu. One was to get permission from the new master and continue living in the new world, but he would be controlled for life. The other was to sever his connection with the world, but this would be like harming the enemy by 1,000 while losing 800 himself. Both he and the world would be damaged. A Heavenly Venerate could bear it, but for a Supreme, it would be difficult to advance in the future. So for Lin Moyu, this world contest could only be won, not lost. Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate said in a low voice, "I understand your difficulties, but as a Heavenly Venerate, I won't easily admit defeat." Lin Moyu cupped his fist slightly. "I understand, senior." There was no need for more words. Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate had already made his stance clear. He wouldn't intervene personally, but it was impossible to make him admit defeat directly. In any case, they had to fight, and he was already prepared. At this moment, Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate gently pointed his finger, and the world barrier of the Flying Elixir world automatically opened, revealing a passage. Lin Moyu understood, stood up, and rushed into the Flying Elixir world, with Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate following closely behind. Inside the Flying Elixir world, Lin Moyu once again felt the pressure from the world. The pressure from the Flying Elixir world was stronger than that of the Yongming world, indicating that the Flying Elixir world's power was stronger. The place was filled with flames, but the flames also carried a vast vitality. This kind of flame with vitality was the best for refining elixirs. Flying elixir Heavenly Venerate was only 10,000 meters away from Lin Moyu and said in a low voice, "This is the world I created, the world of elixirs. This world was born for elixirs, and the world itself is a giant elixir." Flying elixir Heavenly Venerate did not shy away from introducing his world to Lin Moyu, with a hint of pride in his words, clearly very satisfied with his world. The flames roared, and the flying elixir world gave Lin Moyu the feeling that it was not only an elixir but also a giant alchemy furnace. Lin Moyu said, "If you had ambushed me just now, you might have had a chance to kill me." Flying elixir Heavenly Venerate's eyes widened. "I have always been upright and honest, how could I do such a despicable thing? If we are to fight, then we will fight openly and fairly." As he spoke, he pointed his finger, and the flames in the world boiled, with countless elixirs flying out of the flames. The elixirs exploded, transforming into living beings. The elixirs in the flying elixir world were the living beings within it. These beings had various shapes and emitted powerful auras. There were 6 heavenly venerates. Although they were all low-level heavenly venerates, they were indeed the strongest among several worlds. The number of supremes exceeded 200,000. These beings transformed from elixirs had no fixed shapes and constantly changed in the void. Flying elixir Heavenly Venerate said, "Show me your foundation, let me see how strong the once 6th-tier world is." Lin Moyu nodded and snapped his fingers. Flames exploded, turning into a sea of fire. 400 skeleton thrones floated simultaneously, and 400 skeleton kings stood side by side, holding bone swords. Lin Moyu said, "Does this satisfy you, senior?" Flying elixir Heavenly Venerate's mouth twitched. "Satisfy my ass." Lin Moyu asked softly, "So how do we fight?" Fight my ass." 400 low-level Heavenly Venerates, how could he fight? Flying elixir Heavenly Venerate's expression became extremely colorful. He snorted a few times. "I have a move here. If you can withstand it, you win." Lin Moyu nodded. "If I can't withstand it, I will retreat immediately." Chapter 2423, 2423. Chapter 2423. Senior, don't worry, just go ahead. Both of them were upright and honest, even discussing how to fight. Flying elixir Heavenly Venerate couldn't help but look at Lin Moyu with admiration. "Not bad, young man. If you ever make it to the origin continent, come to the Danwang sect. I'll look out for you." Lin Moyu readily agreed. "Thank you, senior." Alright, this was already the second Heavenly Venerate offering to look out for him. Lin Moyu was indeed upright and honest, but not so rigid. He knew that if Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate had this secret technique, even if he didn't agree, Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate could still use it, and he would still have to endure it. So, it was better to face it openly, appearing more upright and honest. Lin Moyu was confident in himself. No matter what secret technique it was, it would be very difficult to kill so many skeleton kings. If Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate truly had such heaven-defying strength, he wouldn't be wasting so much time talking. Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate formed hand seals with his left hand and began drawing runes with his right hand. He was drawing an ancient rune, which was somewhat complex. Lin Moyu found the runes drawn by Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate somewhat familiar. It was a 4th-tier ancient rune he had seen and drawn before. Isn't this a rune used for alchemy? Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate's rune drawing technique isn't very proficient, not as good as mine. Lin Moyu was slightly surprised. He didn't expect that a Heavenly Venerate from the origin continent would also draw runes. The runes drawn were somewhat different from those in the Great World, but the differences were not significant. Only some minor details were different. Lin Moyu could draw them after watching for a moment, and he was confident that he could draw them better than Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate. Most importantly, from Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate's actions, it could be inferred that the origin continent also had runes and rune masters. Lin Moyu was already thinking about whether he could get some information from Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate, which might be useful in the future. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate should also know something. Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate combined the hand seals and runes, shouting, "Appear!" In an instant, all the beings transformed from elixirs collapsed simultaneously, each turning back into an elixir. This transformation intrigued Lin Moyu. It could even reverse transform. The elixirs gathered together, merging with each other, and a giant alchemy furnace appeared in the void. The alchemy furnace was enormous, towering into the sky, occupying a large part of the void. The elixirs entered the alchemy furnace, and in an instant, boundless flames rose within the furnace. The flames in the void also boiled, rushing into the alchemy furnace, making the flames inside even more intense. The whole process seemed complex, but it was actually very fast, taking only a second or two. Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate said loudly, "Young friend, take this technique of mine, Dan Fire Melting Heaven." The flames in the alchemy furnace surged out, sweeping across the heavens and earth, occupying all the void, penetrating every corner, every layer of time and space. Facing the attack of a Heavenly Venerate, especially in Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate's world, the power of time and space would have no effect. So Lin Moyu did nothing. He prepared to take it head-on. Only by doing so could he gain Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate's respect. Lin Moyu simply retracted all the Skeleton Kings. This action greatly increased Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate's favorable impression of Lin Moyu. In his view, Lin Moyu was so upright and honest that he didn't even use his puppets, relying solely on his high-level supreme body to withstand his Dan fire. Lin Moyu was enveloped in undying flame, his undying golden body radiating brilliant light, and on the outermost layer, there was an invisible rogue. The Lich of the Great Tao silently appeared, using Great Tao protection to shield Lin Moyu. Facing the flame attack of a Heavenly Venerate, Great Tao protection couldn't completely negate it but could at least reduce most of the damage. The remaining damage would be blocked by the undying golden body, further weakened by damage transfer and innate abilities, and finally borne by the entire undead army, shared by over 30 billion undead. In Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate's eyes, Lin Moyu was upright and honest, but in reality, Lin Moyu didn't want the Skeleton Kings to bear the damage with him. Retracting the Skeleton Kings was to better distribute the damage. The flames engulfed him, and Great Tao protection immediately took effect. The damage was greatly reduced, at least by 50% in Lin Moyu's estimation. The undying golden body further negated 10% of the damage. The remaining 40% of the damage was further weakened by innate abilities and damage transfer. By the time it reached the undead army, the power was already minimal, barely within the range of a Heavenly Venerate. The Legion commanders inherited the healing abilities of the Legion ruler, and each commander could heal their own troops. The healing speed was slightly slower than the damage rate, but the undead were very tough and couldn't be killed in a short time. Lin Moyu felt that he could stand in the flames for a long time, even for days and nights. Even if he died, his rebirth talent would allow him to stand for several more days and nights. Lin Moyu stood firmly in the Dan fire, letting it burn him, unmoved. Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate was stunned. He knew how powerful his Dan fire was. Even a low-level Heavenly Venerate couldn't withstand it for long. How was Lin Moyu, a high-level supreme, standing in it as if the Dan fire was nothing? He really wanted to ask, "How are you doing this?" Lin Moyu stood in the Dan fire for a while, then looked over at the right moment. "Senior, do you have more?" Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate was taken aback, then said in a low voice, "Yes, be careful. I didn't want to use this second technique because I can't control it well." Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate was about to make a move but suddenly stopped. "Forget it, I won't use it. In case of an accident." Lin Moyu shook his head. "It's fine, just go ahead." He had the rebirth talent, so there was no danger. Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate said solemnly, "This technique targets the soul and is very dangerous." Lin Moyu said, "Senior, don't worry, just go ahead." Lin Moyu knew that only by letting him use it would it be easier to talk later. Seeing Lin Moyu so insistent, Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate made up his mind and began to act. He started drawing runes again, very slowly. This time, he was drawing a 5th-tier ancient rune, and as Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate had said, he wasn't very good at it, even somewhat clumsy. Lin Moyu watched his somewhat awkward movements, wishing he could help him draw it himself. This ancient rune was related to the soul, and combined with Dan fire, it could launch a soul attack. During the attack, the Dan fire would turn from solid to void, bringing powerful Dan poison to pollute the opponent's soul. If one couldn't withstand it, they would be injured at best, unable to advance for life. At worst, they would be annihilated on the spot, their soul scattered. In Lin Moyu's eyes, the completion of Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate's ancient rune was only a bit over 50%, barely qualified. If it were any less, the ancient rune would collapse on the spot. Finally, the ancient rune was completed, but Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate didn't use it immediately. He was still hesitant. "Maybe I shouldn't use it." Lin Moyu smiled. "No problem, Senior, just go ahead." Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate sighed, activated the ancient rune, and shouted, "Dan Fire Soul Refining." In an instant, the Dan fire turned from solid to void, transforming into invisible void power, rushing towards Lin Moyu's rule world. The void power couldn't escape the weakening of Great Tao protection, its power reduced by 50%. Even weakened, the void power still had strong attack power. Outside the rule world, it formed an alchemy furnace, crashing into it. The rule world roared under the impact. Lin Moyu's rule world was very strong and also had the power of void and reality, fully capable of blocking the incoming attack. However, Lin Moyu didn't do that. After a symbolic block, he opened up the rule world, letting it in. The soul, holding the scourge staff, eagerly welcomed it. Chapter 2424, 2424. Chapter 2424. You are truly upright and honest. The power of the void transformed into an alchemical furnace and charged into the rule world. It locked onto Lin Moyu's soul, spewing endless flames mixed with potent alchemical toxins, as if it intended to refine his soul. Lin Moyu held the scourge staff and with 2 strikes, extinguished the flames. With the 3rd strike, he directly hit the alchemical furnace. The scourge staff didn't care whether it was real or void, it hit accurately every time. The alchemical furnace shattered on the spot, and the flames inside were extinguished. As the furnace broke, Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate's body trembled violently. His eyes widened in shock, almost popping out of their sockets, as he stared intently at Lin Moyu. How did you do that? He instinctively asked this question, which he shouldn't have. Lin Moyu smiled but didn't answer. Senior, are you satisfied? Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate came to his senses and showed a bitter smile. He waved his hand, forming several hand seals, and the flames in the sky immediately retreated back into the alchemical furnace. The void became clear again. Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate said, "Your abilities are beyond my imagination." Lin Moyu was very modest. "I was just lucky to receive some benefits from seniors." "It's nothing impressive." Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate seemed to agree, thinking that it was indeed the case. After all, it was unimaginable for a high-level supreme to be this strong. He sighed, "A 6th-level world is beyond our comparison. Losing is not unjust." Lin Moyu said, "I was just lucky. But your alchemy and fire control skills are truly impressive. By the way, what were you drawing earlier? It looked very profound." Lin Moyu pretended to be completely ignorant about runes and cautiously asked his question. Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate now found Lin Moyu very agreeable and replied straightforwardly, "That's called a rune. I'm an alchemist, and I got interested in runes while studying alchemy, so I learned a bit. But I'm not very good at it, my skill level isn't high." Lin Moyu asked, "Are runes very powerful?" Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate said, "Very powerful. A single rune can explain the principles of the world. Some people rely on runes to achieve the Great Tao. People who study runes are called rune masters, and they hold a high status on the origin continent. If you ever go there, you should learn about them. With your talent, I believe you can become a powerful rune master in the future." Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate was very polite and upright, making Lin Moyu feel a bit embarrassed. "Why don't we let the 2 worlds collide?" Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate's expression changed slightly, and he said seriously, "Young friend, you underestimate me. Do you think I'm someone who goes back on his word? It's just a world. Losing a world contest means nothing to me. On the contrary, meeting someone like you feels like an old friend at first sight. When you come to the origin continent, you must visit the Danwang sect." "All right, I keep my word. This world is yours. Remember to find me when you come to the origin continent." After saying this, Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate opened the world barrier and turned to leave. Lin Moyu cupped his fists. "Take care, senior." Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate waved his hand and left gracefully. Watching him leave, Lin Moyu felt a bit guilty. Perhaps he wasn't as upright and honest as Flying Elixir Heavenly Venerate thought. But he had no choice, he had many responsibilities and some things he had to do. The world-burning fire ignited, exploding and engulfing the entire world. He began refining the Flying Elixir world, finding it even easier than refining the Yongming world. The characteristic of the world-burning fire is that the more worlds it refines, the stronger it becomes. The process of refining is also the process of the world-burning fire growing stronger. In just an hour of world sea time, the Flying Elixir world was completely refined. A world turned into a world-class origin crystal, much stronger than an ordinary 5th-tier origin crystal. Lin Moyu returned to the Great World and went straight to the Great World's origin, throwing the 2 world-class origin crystals to it. This time, there was no need for refining the Great World's origin directly absorbed the two world-class origin crystals. Lin Moyu could clearly feel the Great World's origin rapidly growing, advancing towards the 7th tier. Once the origin reaches the 7th tier, the Great World will ascend to a 7th tier world. For many heavenly venerates conducting world contests, once their world reaches the 7th tier, it's time for them to harvest. But Lin Moyu had different plans. He wanted to cultivate the world to the 9th tier. After absorbing a large amount of origin, the Great World began to feed back some of the origin power to Lin Moyu. This origin power came from the Great World and carried its imprint. As a member of the Great World and having achieved supreme status within it, absorbing this origin power was as easy as eating and drinking for Lin Moyu. His realm began to rise rapidly, and various insights flooded in, deepening his understanding of the power of the void. Lin Moyu was already addicted to this feeling. He didn't need time to comprehend or cultivate. As long as he provided origin to the Great World and received its feedback, he could improve his realm and understanding continuously. This time, with two 5th-tier world-class origin crystals, the feedback from the Great World was even more abundant. Lin Moyu's realm rapidly advanced, moving from high-level supreme towards peak supreme. This barrier couldn't stop Lin Moyu. With his accumulation and foundation, even becoming a heavenly venerate was more than enough. In his understanding of the power of the void, Lin Moyu unknowingly reached peak supreme. Several days later, Lin Moyu came out of his insights. He smiled. The gap between peak supremes is enormous. It seems the gap between heavenly venerates will be even larger. No wonder Clear Spirit Heavenly Venerate thought he could fight against hundreds of skeleton kings. It seems he wasn't entirely wrong. Now that he had reached peak supreme, he truly understood how special this realm was. Peak supreme is the necessary path to becoming a heavenly venerate, and this path is long. Those who have just stepped onto this path, those halfway through, and those nearing the end are all called peak supremes, but their strength varies greatly. If this is the case for supremes, the gap between each tier of heavenly venerates will be even larger. So when Clear Spirit Heavenly Venerate saw hundreds of skeleton kings, he thought he could still fight. If the realm continues to rise, the gap will only grow larger. Lin Moyu had now reached peak supreme, but there was still a way to go before reaching the heavenly venerate realm. He needed to obtain more origin, let the Great World advance, and receive its feedback. He was already tied to the Great World and didn't want to use other origins to improve his realm. World-class origin is hard to find, but I can fuse more 7th-tier origin and let the Great World devour and improve. This way, my breakthrough to heavenly venerate shouldn't take too long. Lin Moyu had made up his mind. He smiled, but before that, I need to prepare and integrate all my spells with 7th-tier origin to lay a solid foundation. Chapter 2425, 2425. Chapter 2425. I have a bold idea. The mist gradually dispersed, and the world sea, which had been shrouded in mist for days, once again appeared complete and clear in view. The sky was still as dark as before, and the waters of the world sea continued to surge. The three previous worlds were like hurried passers-by, leaving no trace behind. This world is so cruel. Very few people remember the past. No matter how glorious the past was, once it becomes history, it will never appear again. Lin Moyu was very grateful that the Great World had finally survived its most difficult challenge. After surviving a great calamity, there must be good fortune. Lin Moyu believed that the Great World would have a brighter future. As the mist cleared, Shuiji Heavenly Venerate floated up. Kid, give it back to me. Lin Moyu threw the world treasure back. Thank you, senior. I'm returning it to its rightful owner. Then he took out 10 jars of fine wine and threw them to Shuiji Heavenly Venerate as well. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate accepted the wine without any hesitation. You kid, why are you so generous this time? Lin Moyu smiled and said, come on, when have I ever been stingy? Shuiji Heavenly Venerate snorted, that's true. Over these years, although he only gave 1 or 2 jars each time, whenever Shuiji Heavenly Venerate asked, Lin Moyu never refused. These few years have been the years when Shuiji Heavenly Venerate drank the most. Lin Moyu asked, Senior, will there be any other worlds colliding with us next? Shuiji Heavenly Venerate looked at him, what are you thinking? Do you think other Heavenly Venerates are fools? Your handling of those few worlds has already been seen by others. Even if they didn't see it, they could sense it through various secret methods. Those guys are all cunning. They've already changed direction. They won't come to collide with you. I can tell you with certainty that in this sea area, everyone will avoid you. Lin Moyu had anticipated this and sighed lightly, this can't be helped. It seems that trying to elevate the Great World to the 7th level will be truly difficult. Without other worlds coming, he could only fuse origin crystals himself to provide for the Great World. That efficiency would naturally be inferior to absorbing other worlds. But now, this was the only option. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate snorted, are you dreaming? A 7th level world, how many people can elevate their world to the 7th level? Even if they can, how much time would it take? Don't start daydreaming just because you've swallowed a few world-class origins. A 7th level world requires not only sufficient origin but also other conditions. Are there heavenly venerates in the world? How many heavenly venerates? Among these heavenly venerates, has anyone reached the high-level realm? This was the first time Lin Moyu had heard such a statement, so he couldn't help but ask, can you explain in more detail? Shuiji Heavenly Venerate lazily said, this old turtle is thirsty. If you're thirsty, drink water. There's enough water in the world sea to drown you. Moreover, didn't I just give you 10 jars? 10,000 catties. You've already forgotten. Lin Moyu grumbled inwardly, but his body was honest, and he took out another jar of wine and threw it to Shuiji Heavenly Venerate. Only then did Shuiji Heavenly Venerate say with satisfaction, a 7th level world is also called a high-level world because 7th level origin appears inside, and it's world-class 7th level origin, which is invaluable. Many heavenly venerates who have reached their limit can use world-class 7th level origin to advance to Tao Venerate. If they haven't reached the limit of heavenly venerate, they can still elevate one realm. If you have enough resources, you can absorb several 7th level origins and directly change from a low-level heavenly venerate to a Tao Venerate. Don't doubt it, someone has done this before. Lin Moyu wasn't surprised. The origin continent is so vast, with various forces entrenched. Some powerful sects and clans have been passed down for who knows how many years. Producing a few 7th level origins might not be a difficult task for them. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate first explained the use of world-class 7th level origin, then began to explain how to elevate a world to the 7th level. The elevation of each level of a world is not arbitrary. Besides origin power, it also requires the cooperation of internal forces. To advance from the 4th level to the 5th level, the world must have a heavenly venerate. To advance from the 5th level to the 6th level, at least 5 heavenly venerates must appear in the world. To advance from the 6th level to the 7th level, at least 15 heavenly venerates are needed. However, these are not hard and fast rules. Some treasures can ignore these conditions and directly elevate the world to the 7th level. Everything has two sides, yin and yang, positive and negative. World elevation not only requires origin power but also needs internal and external combination. Of course, heavenly venerates don't necessarily have to come from within the world's master can also count. For example, if a mid-level heavenly venerate like Lei Hao's world advances to the 6th level, to develop the world towards the 7th level, he would inevitably strive towards peak heavenly venerate himself, while also strengthening his control over the world. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate drank his wine, his eyes showing a thoughtful expression, and his tone became more serious. Actually, those people cultivating world sea worlds face an unimaginable danger besides world contests. There was once a high-level heavenly venerate who worked very hard to cultivate his world to the 7th level. When he wanted to harvest the origin, a peak heavenly venerate in that world suddenly advanced to become a Tao Venerate. Then the Tao Venerate turned the tables and killed him. Lin Moyu listened to the story with a mix of amusement and dismay. A heavenly venerate, after much effort, finally cultivated his world to the 7th level. This should have been a joyous occasion. As long as he could get his hands on the world-class 7th level origin and wait until he cultivated to peak heavenly venerate, he would have a chance to advance to Tao Venerate. But instead of reaping the rewards, he was killed by a Tao Venerate from his own world. Who could he complain to about this? Lin Moyu said, it seems that an extraordinary genius appeared in his world, reaching Tao Venerate through his own efforts. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate laughed loudly, who the hell becomes a Tao Venerate through their own efforts? You don't understand shit. That guy was originally a peak heavenly venerate. He took advantage of the world's advancement to the 7th level, secretly stole some origin, and barely became a Tao Venerate. And he wasn't even a true Tao Venerate, only a pseudo-Tao Venerate. But a pseudo-Tao Venerate is still a Tao Venerate, enough for him to complete the reversal. However, it was also that heavenly venerate's own carelessness. If he had been a little more careful, he would have had ways to counter it. Lin Moyu nodded. Indeed, the world's master does have the power of life and death over his world and the beings inside it. The world's master is essentially the god of the world sea world, controlling the life and death of countless beings in the world. As long as he was careful enough, the other party wouldn't have had a chance to turn the tables. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate said. So, after that, every world master became extra cautious with their world. Once such an extraordinary genius appeared in their world, they would either firmly control them or directly kill them. Lin Moyu said, I guess most people would choose to directly nip such geniuses in the bud. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate nodded. That's right, most people do that. They don't allow anyone in their world to surpass their own realm. Cultivators are selfish, and killing for them is as natural as breathing. Whatever genius, as long as they pose a threat to themselves, they will be eliminated. Any Heavenly Venerate has an unshakable Tao heart and won't have emotions like sympathy or pity. They pursue only the Tao. Lin Moyu said, I understand your meaning. I won't let my sympathy run wild. Those who need to be killed, I will kill. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate said all this just to remind Lin Moyu to be careful. After all, he's now in the World Sea, and the time difference between the World Sea and the Great World is too large. His realm hasn't improved much, but the cultivators in the Great World have already reached very high levels. Once they surpass him, there's a possibility of them turning against him. Lin Moyu said, I will strive to reach Heavenly Venerate as soon as possible and become the world's master. However, I have a bold idea. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate showed great interest. Tell me, how bold is it? Chapter 2426, 2426. Chapter 2426, The Strongest Path, Are You Crazy? Lin Moyu's idea was indeed very bold. What he said next shocked even Shuiji Heavenly Venerate. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate was so stunned he forgot to drink his wine. With his mouth agape and neck stretched out, he stared blankly at Lin Moyu. You're saying you want to cultivate the world to the 9th level? Lin Moyu smiled. Is there anything wrong with that? Shuiji Heavenly Venerate dunked his head into the world sea, letting the cold seawater wake him up. Only then did he shout loudly, I think you've gone mad. Lin Moyu laughed. I did say it was just a bold idea. Though bold, it's not to the point of madness, is it? Shuiji Heavenly Venerate snorted. You don't know shit. Do you know why those Heavenly Venerates rush to harvest the origin as soon as their worlds reach the 7th level? Shuiji Heavenly Venerate revealed another secret, which was also an unwritten rule. Once a world reaches the 7th level, its origin power becomes extremely strong, and the aura of the origin spreads very far. If not harvested in time, this origin aura would attract the attention of countless people. It wouldn't take long for the news to spread, and then Tao Venerates would come. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate said, when Tao Venerates come, can you stop them? And it won't be just one or two, there will be many. A 7th level origin is enough to make Tao Venerates take action. Lin Moyu fell silent. It seems I didn't consider it thoroughly enough. It wasn't that he hadn't considered it, but that he simply didn't know such a thing would happen. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate took a big gulp of wine. That's why world contests end at the 7th level. Don't think about those unrealistic things. Lin Moyu pondered. It seems that to cultivate the great world to the 9th level, it can't be done in the World Sea world. Senior, what do you think about merging the World Sea world with my rule world? Shuiji Heavenly Venerate spat out a mouthful of wine, his eyes wide. After all I've said, you still don't want to give up. Lin Moyu chuckled. We're just discussing, right? Just tell me, is it possible or not? Don't speak, let me think about it. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate tilted his head, drinking wine sip by sip, thinking non-stop. In his long life, among countless memories, he searched and pondered the possibility of what Lin Moyu had said. A jar of 10,000 caddies of aged fine wine was almost empty. Finally, Shuiji Heavenly Venerate spoke. It's not entirely impossible. Someone has indeed done this before. But at that time, his World Sea world was only at the 4th level. That guy did merge the World Sea world into his rule world, then actively ended his world contest and left the World Sea. Later, some people tried to imitate him, but most of them didn't succeed. From the information obtained later, to merge the World Sea world into the rule world and still preserve the origin of the World Sea world, several conditions need to be met. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate rummaged through his memory, finally digging out the old memories. World fusion is not as simple as moving the living beings and resources from the World Sea world over. It's about merging the two worlds together, with rules taking the lead. The prerequisite is that the two worlds need to be extremely similar. Secondly, the innate will of the world sea world must not resist. Finally, the rule world must be strong enough, otherwise it cannot accommodate the world sea world. Each of these conditions is not easy to achieve, just the prerequisite alone can stump many people. The rule world needs to be extremely similar to the world sea world. When the source realm becomes a world sea world, although it can be influenced by the master's will, some essentials won't change. And by that time, the heavenly venerate's rule world would have already taken shape. Secondly, getting the innate will of the world sea world not to resist is another point that can stump many people. The last condition is not easy either, unless the world sea world is still very weak. By the time the world sea world is strong enough, reaching the 5th or 6th level, the heavenly venerate's rule world might not be able to accommodate the world sea world, making fusion impossible. Shuiji heavenly venerate chuckled, stunned, aren't you? Now you know how difficult this is. So, stop daydreaming. Just cultivate steadily, raise the world sea world to the 7th level, then harvest the origin, and that's it. As for those living beings in the world sea world, if you can't bear to kill them, you can pack them up and take them away, let them live in your rule world. You can also find a place on the origin continent to settle them. After 1,000 or 800 years, they'll be able to adapt. Lin Moyu ignored Shuiji heavenly venerate's words and kept pondering the possibility of taking away the world sea world. My rule world was constructed using the great world as a template, and its similarity to the great world is extremely high. This shouldn't be a problem. The current innate will of the great world is very close to me, so this shouldn't be a problem either. After all, I'm not trying to destroy it, just move it to a different place. It's much better than harvesting the origin. The problem lies in the strength of the rule world. My rule world is not strong enough yet, and probably can't accommodate the great world. It seems the next step is to strengthen my rule world and improve my realm and cultivation. Seeing Lin Moyu silent for a long time, Shuiji heavenly venerate couldn't help but ask, "Hey, what are you thinking about?" A determined light gradually appeared in Lin Moyu's eyes. Shuiji heavenly venerate's heart skipped a beat, having a bad premonition. "Hey, don't make any rash decisions. Don't ruin your bright future like this." Lin Moyu shook his head slightly. "A senior once told me, some paths are destined to be difficult, but they are the strongest paths. If you want to become a true powerhouse, you must walk this difficult path. I don't want to walk the same path as others. I want to become the strongest, and this is also my Tao heart." Shuiji heavenly venerate felt Lin Moyu's Tao heart and for a moment, he couldn't refute. The strongest path, that sounds somewhat reasonable. Who said that? Lin Moyu smiled, "A senior I met when I first started cultivating, also a good friend of mine." Shuiji heavenly venerate asked with some doubt, "When you first started cultivating? How strong is he?" "Probably a Tao venerate." Shuiji heavenly venerate was startled. "You knew a Tao venerate when you first started cultivating? There's a Tao venerate in your world? That's impossible." Lin Moyu said, "A few years ago, there was a very small world that separated from the world sea world. Did you see it?" Shuiji heavenly venerate tilted his head, clearly having no impression. Lin Moyu reminded him, "When the battle realm came over before, that friend of mine intervened once." Shuiji heavenly venerate still had no impression. This also shows that Antares' method of intervention was very advanced, eluding Shuiji heavenly venerate's eyes. Shuiji heavenly venerate looked at Lin Moyu with a doubtful gaze, as if asking, "Kid, is what you're saying true?" Lin Moyu thought for a moment. "Come with me." He flew towards the opposite direction of the great world. By now, it had been a long time since his small world left, and the great world had also traveled quite a distance. As Lin Moyu's strength increased, his connection with the great world also strengthened, and the distance he could maintain had reached 40,000 meters. Lin Moyu flew to the 40,000 meter limit. Under Shuiji heavenly venerate's puzzled gaze, he pointed towards the distance. The law of time surged forth, and a long river faintly appeared, reversing time. Chapter 2427, 2427. Chapter 2427. Your destiny is destined to be extraordinary. Time reversal, how can you use time reversal? Shuiji heavenly venerate's eyes widened again. He felt that the shocks he received from Lin Moyu were more than he had experienced in his entire life combined. Lin Moyu said, "I know the law of time, so isn't it normal to use time reversal?" In the world sea, he could indeed use the law of time, though it would be affected. The time reversed couldn't be as far back as in the great world. But reversing 8 to 10 years wasn't a problem. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate shook his head. No, I mean, does your world Sea World also have the law of time? Lin Moyu nodded. Yes. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate said, if it has the law of time, then it must also have the law of space, right? After receiving Lin Moyu's affirmative answer, Shuiji Heavenly Venerate's gaze became even more curious. Goodness, your world Sea World has a very strong foundation. World Sea Worlds evolved from source realms, and the strength of the source realm determines the foundation of the world Sea World to some extent. Although world Sea Worlds can devour the origins of other worlds to constantly strengthen and perfect themselves during their growth process, sometimes the foundation is difficult to change. The worlds like the Tiger Demon World, Clear Spirit World, and Battle Realm that the Great World had previously devoured didn't have the laws of time and space. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate said, the laws of time and space are two great Tao laws. Not every world Sea World has them. Even if they do, they often only have one of them, or the laws are incomplete. Your world Sea World is indeed very strong, very impressive. Lin Moyu smiled. I also think the Great World is very impressive. Time reversed, and the river of time cast a large shadow, showing events that had occurred in the past. Suddenly, a small world appeared in the area covered by the shadow. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate's eyes widened. There really is one, why didn't I see it before? That world was very small, not even 1/10,000th of the Great World, just a tiny speck. But Shuiji Heavenly Venerate governed this area of water and should have sensed everything in it. The appearance of a world, no matter how small, shouldn't have escaped his notice. Yet this time, he had somehow missed it. Suddenly, Shuiji Heavenly Venerate's face changed drastically. Be careful. His entire body instantly shrank, using his thick shell to protect himself while also shielding Lin Moyu. A wave of time-space power came head-on, crashing heavily onto Shuiji Heavenly Venerate. Time and space were severely torn apart, and Shuiji Heavenly Venerate's incredibly hard shell instantly cracked in many places. Under the impact of the time-space power, the shell was divided into countless areas, each entering a different time-space, using time-space power for cutting. Everything happened too quickly. By the time Lin Moyu reacted, Shuiji Heavenly Venerate had already taken a wave of attacks. The time reversal instantly stopped, and the shadows disappeared. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate was breathing heavily, his eyes filled with fear. That was close, this old turtle almost lost his life here. Lin Moyu hadn't expected things to develop this way either. Just as he was about to say something, Shuiji Heavenly Venerate shouted, don't speak, let's leave first. He was already scared and immediately left with Lin Moyu. Until they returned to the edge of the Great World, Shuiji Heavenly Venerate was still shaken. What kind of world was that you mentioned? How can there be such a terrifying existence? Lin Moyu felt somewhat apologetic. I don't know either. Previously, when I was in the Great World, I was indeed attacked by time-space power, but this time it was just time reversal. And I still don't understand what happened. Can you explain it to me? Shuiji Heavenly Venerate said, you just scared this old turtle to death, you need to compensate me. I understand. Lin Moyu immediately threw out 2 jars of aged fine wine without hesitation. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate drank over 1,000 caddies in one gulp to calm his nerves. According to what you said, that small world was forcibly separated from the world Sea World by someone. Do you know what kind of existence can possess such ability? Moreover, he could launch an attack directly from the time reversal through a time imprint. Such an existence is too terrifying. Lin Moyu's first thought wasn't of Antares, but of the old man in the blue robe. Perhaps only he would have such ability. Lin Moyu was very curious about the realm of the old man in the blue robe. He could scare Antares into not mentioning his name, and he could also launch attacks directly through time imprints, nearly killing Shuiji Heavenly Venerate. Lin Moyu said, I think I've met him before. Shut up. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate shouted loudly, don't say anything, I don't want to know anything about him. Don't tell me his name or what he looks like. And don't even think about it. Such existences, just thinking about them might allow them to sense you. If you mention his name, he might appear in front of you in a minute and kill you with a slap. Lin Moyu couldn't help but laugh. It can't be that scary, right? I've even chatted with him, and he even treated me to tea. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate exclaimed, are you sure you're not joking? Such an existence chatting with you and treating you to tea. Lin Moyu nodded slightly, yes. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate was completely speechless. Your luck must be incredibly good to meet such a figure. It seems your destiny is destined to be extraordinary. Kid, such existences don't casually meet with people, let alone have tea with them. They are high above, looking down on all living beings. The power struggles of others seem like a laughable game to them. Just like the world contests in the World Sea, the 7th level origin that heavenly venerates fight so hard for is nothing in the eyes of such existences. Lin Moyu asked, then what are they pursuing? Shuiji heavenly venerate said, how would I know? I'm not them, only when you reach that realm will you understand. But since he was willing to chat with you and treat you to tea, he probably thinks you have a chance. Quote. Lin Moyu's heart stirred, you mean, I have a chance to become an existence like him? Shuiji heavenly venerate chuckled, you're thinking too much. What I mean is, perhaps you have a chance to become his disciple. Don't doubt what this old turtle says. You'll understand when you get to the origin continent. Lin Moyu nodded, all right, but going to the origin continent is still far off. Now we can't encounter other world sea worlds, and it will take a long time for the great world to advance to the 7th level. Moreover, my cultivation is far from enough. Without high-level heavenly venerates, it's not enough to elevate the great world. Shuiji heavenly venerate said, on this point, I should tell you something. In the World Sea, there are other ways to elevate the level of World Sea worlds besides world contests. Lin Moyu immediately pricked up his ears, listening attentively. Shuiji heavenly venerate said, after some time, the king will issue a World Sea decree. Representatives from World Sea worlds in each area can go to carry out tasks assigned by the king. As long as they can complete the tasks and achieve good results, the king will give out rewards. The rewards are usually those broken worlds that failed in world contests. These worlds can be directly refined and absorbed to strengthen one's own World Sea world. In my sea area, only 2 or 3 worlds are qualified to participate, and you are one of them. I don't need to go into details, you'll know when the time comes. Chapter 2428, 2428. Chapter 2428. If you don't want to say it, then Shuiji heavenly venerate didn't explain the details of the World Sea decree, because even he wasn't clear about its specific contents. All those participating in the World Sea decree would follow the orders of the World Sea King at that time, carrying out some special tasks. Everyone participating in the World Sea decree would keep it confidential. According to Shuiji heavenly venerate, the World Sea decree had been issued many times, with countless participants. Each time, participants were recommended by water domain administrators like himself, usually 3 to 5 people from each water domain. If the people they recommended achieved good results, the administrators would also receive rewards. Lin Moyu felt that the king issuing the World Sea decree must have some deeper meaning. What exactly that deeper meaning was, he didn't know. However, most people who went always came back alive, at worst suffering some injuries, so there was no need to worry too much. Shuiji heavenly venerate was being very practical. If it was too dangerous, he wouldn't let Lin Moyu go. Over the years of knowing each other, Shuiji heavenly venerate had unknowingly come to regard Lin Moyu as a friend. Lin Moyu once again threw himself into the life of hunting strange fish. With his greatly increased strength, the speed at which he obtained origin was far beyond what it had been before. At the current rate, he could obtain the materials needed for 1 7th grade origin every 200 days of World Sea time. Lin Moyu wanted to infuse all his spells with 7th grade origin. He had calculated that there were 11 spells in total, including 3 spells that had already been infused with 5th grade origin. Even if every fusion with 7th grade origin was successful, he would still need 2,200 World Sea days. For the Great World, that meant a full 60,000 years. This was a long period of time. After 60,000 years, heavenly venerates should have been born in the Great World, possibly more than one. However, Lin Moyu didn't mind. As long as it didn't harm his interests, Lin Moyu wouldn't interfere with them. He had his own things to do. His goal was far beyond becoming a heavenly venerate. He had to lay a solid foundation. Yu Qingru and Yu Zhu gradually adapted to the rules of the World Sea. They had already begun preparing to cross over in the World Sea. Lin Moyu prepared origin crystals for them. By fusing with origin power when crossing over, they could make their foundations more solid and pave the way for constructing rule worlds in the future. Based on his own experience and the advice of Shuiji heavenly venerate, that old turtle, Lin Moyu planned to have the two of them directly separate from the Great World. From then on, they would become beings of the origin continent, severing all ties with the Great World. This would be more beneficial for their future development. After all, with him around, the origin they needed for cultivation in the future wouldn't be a problem at all. They didn't need to rely on the origin of the great world. Time passed day by day. Lin Moyu's life in the coming days was simple yet fulfilling. The strange fish in the world sea seemed endless. He killed batch after batch. The world sea was filled with origin power. Origin power would evolve into large schools of fish. As long as origin power didn't run out, the fish would never disappear. Lin Moyu could now move 400,000 meters away from the Great World, still 100,000 meters away from the extremely dangerous areas Shuiji Heavenly Venerate had mentioned. He had tried sending Skeleton Kings in to explore, but once they went beyond 500,000 meters, the Skeleton Kings would lose contact with him. That feeling was as if they had entered another world. After trying a few times, Lin Moyu could only give up. That place was not somewhere he could explore for now. Even Shuiji Heavenly Venerate had almost failed to come back from there. Although Lin Moyu was confident in his abilities, he wasn't blindly so. Time passed day by day, and in the blink of an eye, more than 500 days had gone by. For the Great World, over 15,000 years had passed. Lin Moyu had returned a few times during this period and found that the changes in the Great World were not too significant. Supreme Hao, Heavenly Supreme, and Battle Supreme had finally advanced another step, reaching mid-level Supreme. However, geniuses kept emerging among the human race, with more and more talents catching up. Now there was a large batch of newly ascended Saint Venerates in the human race, with over 100 more Supremes. That mid-level Supreme from before, after 15,000 years, was now approaching peak Supreme. These people were born in a good era, with more solid foundations. It was only natural for them to surpass Supreme Hao and the others. This was a sign of the Great World's prosperity and should have been a good thing. Unfortunately, their strong power had given them a desire for authority. This desire grew more obvious as their strength increased. They repeatedly expressed their wish for the human emperor to hand over control. However, the forces led by Heavenly Supreme Hao Supreme disagreed. The two Supremes wouldn't sit idly by either. They were also secretly nurturing batch after batch of geniuses, replenishing their own forces to contend with them. The Great World was no longer as united as before. When Lin Moyu returned, he didn't alert anyone but went directly to find the human emperor. The human emperor had 2 Heavenly Venerate level revived ones in hand. If anything happened, he could suppress it for now, so there was no problem. Over the past 500 days, Lin Moyu had collected a large number of origin crystals, but he couldn't fuse them. Since forcibly fusing spells before, infinite fusion had once again fallen silent, entering a dormant state, and hadn't awakened yet. In this state, he couldn't fuse origin crystals. Lin Moyu didn't know how to speed up infinite fusion's recovery. The soul power provided by the world tree seemed to have little effect. After much thought, only high-grade spiritual materials would have an effect. But high-grade spiritual materials were not easy to find. He had already asked Shuiji Heavenly Venerate to look for them, but there had been no news so far. Now Lin Moyu could only collect low-grade origin crystals first, waiting for infinite fusion to recover. 600 days later, Lin Moyu had gathered the materials needed for the third 7th grade origin. Infinite fusion was still the same, still sleeping. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate swam over, reeking of alcohol. Lin Moyu asked, "Senior, how did it go?" Shuiji Heavenly Venerate shook his head. "I asked the administrators of several nearby sea areas, but none of them have high-grade spiritual materials." Lin Moyu's eyes showed slight disappointment. It seemed high-grade spiritual materials were not easy to find. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate changed the subject. "However, I heard about something else. This World Sea Decree is about to come out. It's said that high-grade spiritual materials might appear there. Wait a bit longer. If it really doesn't work out, you can ask the king. The king definitely has some. As long as you can achieve good results, you might be able to exchange for one." Lin Moyu nodded. "How long until the World Sea Decree comes out?" Shuiji Heavenly Venerate said, "The timing of the World Sea Decree is never fixed. It generally appears once every 800 to 1000 years. The last time it appeared was 898 years ago." Lin Moyu nodded. "Then I'll wait a bit longer." Shuiji Heavenly Venerate was somewhat puzzled. Spiritual materials are generally used to nurture spirit tools and formation spirits. "What do you want them for?" Lin Moyu casually replied, "To brew wine." Shuiji Heavenly Venerate snorted. "Get lost. If you don't want to say it, then don't." Lin Moyu laughed heartily. tossing him 2 jars of wine. Only then did Shuiji Heavenly Venerate leave, satisfied. The hunting continued. Lin Moyu didn't stop for a moment, never slacking off. Another 100 or so days passed. Suddenly, a strange aura came from afar, like streaks of light, sweeping across vast areas of the sea along the clouds in the sky. Beams of light fell from the sky, shining into the world sea, illuminating it brightly. For a moment, Lin Moyu had the illusion of seeing the sun through the clouds. Shuiji Heavenly Venerate appeared immediately. Get ready, the world sea decree is about to arrive. Chapter 2429, 2429. Chapter 2429. The suspension of the world conflict. The light band is a sign that the realm sea order is about to arrive. When the light band covers the entire realm sea, the realm sea order will arrive. At that time, some wonderful things will happen in the entire realm sea. Lin Moyu did not need to prepare anything. He let Yu Qingru and Yuzhu return to their rule worlds and also recalled all the undead legions. Lin Moyu asked, what exactly is the realm sea order? Waterstop Heavenly Sovereign said, it is said that before the realm sea order became the realm sea order, it was an extremely powerful world treasure. I don't know where the king got it from, but it can control various worlds. The king refined it, integrating his supreme power, and it finally became the realm sea order. Just watch, it will definitely surprise you. Lin Moyu nodded and watched quietly. From the light band covering the sky, Lin Moyu could feel a powerful and terrifying force. The person who cast the light band possessed supreme power and was extremely terrifying. This was a huge gap in the level of power, making people feel powerless. Is this the king of the realm sea? So strong, Lin Moyu sighed in his heart. However, compared to the existence in the small world, the king of the realm sea seemed to be much weaker. The light band quickly covered the entire realm sea. Then, beams of light fell accurately into the realm sea world. For a moment, the wind and waves calmed down, the realm sea world stopped moving, and the realm sea no longer churned, as if time had stopped. Then, a huge token emerged from the light band. The token looked very ancient, with a strange pattern engraved on it that Lin Moyu had never seen before. This is the realm sea order. Waterstop Heavenly Sovereign said in a low voice. Lin Moyu nodded slightly, his eyes fixed on the realm sea order without blinking. When the realm sea order appeared, a mysterious and powerful aura was revealed. This aura was majestic, powerful, and lofty. It gave people the feeling that the owner of the realm sea order was overlooking the entire realm sea. Then, a deep voice sounded from the realm sea order. From the moment the realm sea order appears, the world conflict is suspended. The holder of the realm sea order can activate it within 1 day and go to the designated location. All water domain rulers are responsible for all matters in their water domains during the effective period of the realm sea order. The Sea Tribe army is dispatched to temporarily seal the realm sea until the realm sea order ends. During this period, all intruders will be killed without mercy. The last 3 words, killed without mercy, carried a hint of killing intent, making people shudder. It also showed the domineering spirit of the king of the realm sea. During the activation of the realm sea order, even if a Tao sovereign came, he would fight to the death. Waterstop Heavenly Sovereign laughed, don't worry, once the realm sea order is activated, the entire realm sea will be like a hedgehog. No one dares to come in. Once, a Tao sovereign tried to force his way in and was killed by the king himself. But you still need to be careful about your world. So much time has passed in your world, and the number of strong people is increasing. And your realm has not improved. If a heavenly sovereign is born in it. Quote. Now, there are already peak supremes in the great world. In terms of realm alone, they are no weaker than Lin Moyu. If a heavenly sovereign appears, it might reverse kill Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu smiled, don't worry, even if there is a mid-level heavenly sovereign, I will kill him. I will handle the matters in the great world when I return. From peak supreme to heavenly sovereign is not an easy task. Moreover, the human emperor has given him 2 heavenly sovereign-level resurrected beings, so there is no need to worry for now. When he returns, he will see the situation. If it doesn't work out, he can only kill them. Lin Moyu did not want to kill the humans in the great world, but if necessary, he would not hesitate. He flew to the side of the realm sea order, reached out, and grasped it, activating it at the same time. The realm sea order shone brightly, enveloping Lin Moyu. Then, the space twisted, and the realm sea order took Lin Moyu away. At the same time, in the vast realm sea, one world ruler after another activated the realm sea order and disappeared. They were all heavenly sovereigns, ranging from low to mid to high levels. Among them, mid-level heavenly sovereigns were the majority, high-level heavenly sovereigns were few, and low-level heavenly sovereigns were the least. Among the supremes, Lin Moyu was the only one. His existence was only one more than the Tao sovereign because there was no Tao sovereign. The space twisted, and Lin Moyu felt as if he had experienced a not-so-short teleportation. Through the space rules, Lin Moyu could feel the changes in space. This also showed that the realm sea was very vast, and he had only seen the tip of the iceberg. When the teleportation ended, the scene in front of him quickly recovered. Lin Moyu found himself on a huge square. The top of the square was very high, at least 10,000 meters. Above 10,000 meters was the realm sea, floating above. The square was very dry, without a drop of water. An invisible force held the water of the realm sea firmly, preventing it from falling. Around the square stood countless huge stone pillars. The square was extremely vast, and these stone pillars extended into the distance, difficult to count. The stone pillars were carved with lifelike images of various fish, shrimp, crabs, and other creatures. These are all creatures from the realm sea. There are countless creatures in the realm sea. If they are all recorded on these stone pillars, the scale is indeed amazing. Lin Moyu walked among the stone pillars and saw many realm sea creatures he had never seen before. Waves of space fluctuations came, and more people were teleported over, making the originally cold square lively. The newcomers were not only humans but also many non-human beings. Although they had transformed into human forms, they still retained many beast characteristics. These people were from the demon race, like the Thunderlight purple-striped tigers. There were various clans within the demon race, with the lion, wolf, tiger, and leopard clans being the most famous. Besides these, there were also the bear clan, elephant clan, and others. Although the demon race had internal conflicts, they were quite united when facing external threats. After teleporting over, they immediately formed groups. Humans did the same, grouping together regardless of whether they knew each other. Lin Moyu observed and found that there seemed to be some hostility between the demon race and the human race, and the two races were not friendly. I don't know if this is an isolated case or a general racial issue. Humans not only have internal conflicts but also external enemies. It's quite complicated. Lin Moyu also walked over slowly, preparing to join the human group. His appearance immediately drew everyone's attention. A member of the demon race laughed, "Are you humans out of people? You even brought a supreme." Other members of the demon race immediately jeered. It seems that the humans are really done for, not even having a heavenly sovereign. I wonder which sea area this supreme came from. Is the human race in that sea area so miserable? Lin Moyu ignored them. Waterstop Heavenly Sovereign had said that during the activation of the Realm Sea Order, one could not act rashly or they would be punished. Since he couldn't act, he could only engage in verbal sparring, which was meaningless. If it were outside, such people would be directly killed. At this moment, someone from the human race said in a low voice, "Our human race has a supreme," which means that in that sea area, the demon race's heavenly sovereigns are not as good as our human race's supremes. Exactly, you should think about it. A supreme can become a world ruler. What does that mean? It means he is a super genius. Do you have any supremes in the demon race who dare to come to the world conflict and be selected to participate in the Realm Sea Order? Do you have any? When it comes to verbal sparring, humans are never afraid. Moreover, they were right. A supreme coming to the Realm Sea to participate in the world conflict meant what? It meant that this supreme was extraordinary in both background and strength. Ordinary supremes wouldn't dare to come, as they would just be cannon fodder. No one present was a fool. They all realized this and greeted Lin Moyu without any airs of a heavenly sovereign. Chapter 2430, 2430. Chapter 2430, Lufeng Trading Company, Lufeng Yao. Someone greeted Lin Moyu with a smile, "Young friend, come over here, join us." "Don't worry, young friend, with us here, those demon brats won't dare to harm you." It seemed they truly believed Lin Moyu was a genius with a powerful background. The heavenly venerates among the human race were very friendly towards Lin Moyu. After all, those participating in world contests in the World Sea were mostly heavenly venerates. There were almost no supremes like Lin Moyu. This also meant that Lin Moyu indeed had a strong background. Not just anyone could obtain a source realm. The most crucial point was that Lin Moyu could be recommended by the administrator of his own sea area to participate in the World Sea Decree, which could only mean one of two things. First, There were no powerful worlds in that sea area, and Lin Moyu was just lucky. Second, Lin Moyu was indeed very strong, capable of fighting across realms. Although he was only a peak supreme, his strength was comparable to that of a heavenly venerate. Such individuals were rare, but they had appeared on the origin continent before. Many people instinctively felt that Lin Moyu was one of those geniuses with a powerful background and extraordinary strength. Most of the heavenly venerates among the human race were willing to be friendly towards such a genius. However, there were also a few who couldn't stand Lin Moyu, out of jealousy. No matter what realm one reached, jealousy always existed. Those who could truly see things clearly were few and far between. Lin Moyu felt various gazes upon him. His extremely powerful spiritual sense allowed him to clearly distinguish the meaning behind each gaze and label each person accordingly. Even if the intentions were good, it was only on the surface. After all, they didn't know each other, which was normal. If they were overly enthusiastic, it would be suspicious. Just like the demon race, some clever demons had already developed a killing intent towards Lin Moyu. They didn't want to see geniuses appearing among the human race. Especially those with powerful backgrounds and abundant resources, which made them even more displeased. Their gazes became sharper, as if they could attack Lin Moyu at any moment. Most demons were not good at hiding their emotions, and their killing intent was easily sensed by others. Lin Moyu didn't care about the demons' gazes. He remained calm and composed, walking unhurriedly towards the human side. His behavior made some people even more certain of Lin Moyu's identity. Such demeanor couldn't be faked by an ordinary genius. Although he was a supreme, he was not inferior to a heavenly venerate at all. Lin Moyu approached the group, cupped his fists, and greeted, "Greetings, seniors." He was polite and showed no arrogance. The heavenly venerates were also courteous in return, not putting on airs. A mid-level heavenly venerate smiled warmly, "May I ask for your esteemed name, young friend?" Lin Moyu did not hide anything, Junior Lin Moyu. The surname Lin. The heavenly venerates began to ponder which powerful family or sect on the origin continent had a genius disciple with the surname Lin. The origin continent was vast, filled with countless families and sects. There were many prominent families with the surname Lin. If he was a disciple of a major sect, there were even more possibilities. For a moment, they couldn't associate Lin Moyu with any specific family. However, they didn't press further. Continuing to ask would be impolite. A heavenly venerate suddenly frowned, "Young friend Lin, I observe that your bone age seems to be just over 2,000 years. As soon as he said this, everyone looked at Lin Moyu. If Lin Moyu was truly just over 2,000 years old, it would be terrifying. Lin Moyu had long forgotten his exact age. Time seemed to have lost its meaning. Since pacifying the Great World and defeating the Battle Realm, he had spent most of his time in the World Sea. Although nearly 100,000 years had passed in the Great World, it had only been a few years for him. Roughly estimating, he was probably not even 2,000 years old. Lin Moyu nodded slightly, "Senior, you have keen eyes." This was an admission, and everyone gasped. Regardless of his background, Lin Moyu's reputation as a super genius was now solidified. Indeed, a top-tier genius. A peak supreme at just over 2,000 years old. How many such geniuses have there been on the origin continent throughout history? When I was 2,000 years old, I had just reached Saint Venerate, still far from supreme. Reaching Saint Venerate at 2,000 years old is already an incredible achievement. Most people only reach the other shore at that age. The heavenly venerates of the human race discussed among themselves, some with envy, some with admiration, and some with jealousy. "I am Yun Hongxin, an elder of the Nine Heavens Tower. If you have time, young friend, you are welcome to visit the Nine Heavens Tower. I am Wu Yu from the Liang sect. I am Yang Ming from the Star Pavilion. You are welcome to visit anytime." Many heavenly venerates expressed goodwill towards Lin Moyu. Even if they couldn't befriend such a top-tier genius, they at least didn't want to offend him. At 2,000 years old, he had reached peak supreme. In a few thousand years, he might become a peak heavenly venerate. Becoming a Tao venerate in the future was almost a certainty. At this moment, a fragrant breeze wafted over, and a graceful woman approached Lin Moyu. She was extremely beautiful, elegant yet not overly seductive, exuding a mature charm while retaining a youthful brightness. Lin Moyu respectfully stood up. This was a high-level heavenly venerate. Among the many heavenly venerates, high-level ones were few, and female heavenly venerates were even rarer. The woman smiled gently at Lin Moyu. Greetings, young friend Lin. I am Lu Fengyao of the Lu Feng Trading Company. If you ever need anything from the Lu Feng Trading Company, feel free to contact me. Lu Fengyao smiled warmly, elegant yet charming, as she handed a jade token to Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu had heard from Shuiji Heavenly Venerate that there was a powerful force called the Lu Feng Trading Company on the Origin Continent. If he wanted to buy anything, he could go to them. The Lu Feng Trading Company was a very powerful force on the Origin Continent, stronger than most families and sects. He didn't expect to meet someone from the Lu Feng Trading Company here. Lin Moyu accepted the jade token. Thank you, Senior Lu. If I need anything, I will seek your help. Lu Fengyao laughed softly. I hope to be of assistance to you in the future. She walked away gracefully, without any pretense, the entire process natural and unforced. She didn't need to curry favor. With the strength of the Lu Feng Trading Company, they were already more powerful than most sects and families. When she mentioned her name, many heavenly venerates showed expressions of surprise. Clearly, Lu Fengyao was well known, and many heavenly venerates recognized her. Lin Moyu sensed that the killing intent from the demon race had intensified. Their conversation had evidently been overheard by the demons, whose killing intent was blatant and undisguised. Lin Moyu remained vigilant. After all, those were heavenly venerates, and he had to be cautious. The teleportation continued, and the numbers of both the demon race and the human race kept increasing. Lin Moyu thought to himself, it seems the Origin Continent is primarily dominated by these two races. In just half a day, the numbers of the demon race and the human race had exceeded 10,000, but no other races were seen. Finally, after half a day, a peculiar aura accompanied the teleportation. Lin Moyu was slightly startled. It's the aura of the dragon race. In the next second, a dragon's roar echoed across the plaza, and a heavenly venerate level divine dragon appeared. Following the dragon's roar, several more divine dragons appeared. The dragon race quickly gathered together. Although there were only 10 divine dragons, their presence was not inferior to that of the demon race and the human race. The dragon race's combat power was unrivaled within the same realm. They could fight across realms, and it was common for a low-level heavenly venerate dragon to defeat a mid-level heavenly venerate. No one was surprised by the appearance of the dragon race. It seemed they had expected it. Immediately after, a sharp cry echoed across the plaza, causing everyone to frown. Lin Moyu was shocked. The insect race, they came to. Chapter 2431, 2431. Chapter 2431. The 7 major races of the Origin Continent. The 10 divine dragons raised their scales in alarm, watching vigilantly ahead. A giant insect hive over 1,000 meters tall appeared on the plaza, occupying a large area. The hive was like a honeycomb, with countless insects ready to burst out at any moment. Lin Moyu frowned. Insect mother, a heavenly venerate level insect mother. Lin Moyu had seen similar insect races before, which the dragon race called insect mothers. Each insect mother was an independent army, able to produce countless insect warriors. The insect warriors produced by an insect mother were only one realm lower than itself. A low-level heavenly venerate insect mother could produce countless low-level supreme insect warriors. This insect mother before them was a mid-level heavenly venerate, capable of producing countless mid-level supreme insect warriors. Although supremes weren't much, facing an endless horde of mid-level supremes would give even a heavenly venerate a headache. The dragon race and insect race were mortal enemies. As soon as the insect race appeared, the divine dragons stared at them intently, as if ready to attack at any moment. The insect mother also stared at the dragon race, continuously emitting sharp, unpleasant roars. The hive-like nest began to open, with insect warriors inside ready to rush out at any time. Lin Moyu knew that if it weren't for the World Sea Decree, if this wasn't the territory of the World Sea King, they would have already started fighting. How did the insect race come here too? The insect race rarely comes to the World Sea to participate in world contests. This is really rare. The sea area where the insect race is located is really unlucky. Encountering them, it's good if you can keep your life. Indeed, the insect race is cruel. They destroy all worlds they encounter, leaving no living beings behind, even killing the world masters. Not just that, in the sea area where the insect race is located, even the world sea creatures can't survive. Probably only the sea area administrator can stay alive. In the words of the heavenly venerates, the insect race meant destruction and death. Wherever the insect race passed, nothing could grow, and all life was exterminated. Space distorted again, and a second insect mother appeared, followed by a third, a fourth. A total of 5 insect mothers came, including 4 mid-level heavenly venerates and 1 high-level heavenly venerate. A high-level heavenly venerate could produce high-level supreme insect warriors in almost endless numbers. Combined with the insect mother's main body, even other high-level heavenly venerates would have to retreat when faced with this. After the insect race arrived, the teleportation didn't stop. A large tree appeared on the plaza, towering several thousand meters high, covered in thick vines that almost touched the top of the plaza. After appearing, the tree rapidly shrank until it was only 10 meters tall. Then, various flowers and plants appeared, all with different forms, but all were plants. A heavenly venerate among the humans said, "The 100 Grass Alliance has arrived too. Now everyone is here." There used to be a Buddhist race, but unfortunately, they brought about their own destruction. The World Sea has nothing to do with them now. Indeed, those Buddhist fellows really went crazy. I really don't know what they were thinking. Those people were never normal to begin with. Listening to the discussions of the heavenly venerates, Lin Moyu learned that these plant-based heavenly venerates belong to a force called the 100 Grass Alliance. Although not considered very strong, they weren't weak either. Besides them, there was also the Buddhist race. However, due to certain reasons, the Buddhist race could no longer enter the World Sea or participate in world contests, so they couldn't come here. Human race, demon race, dragon race, insect race, 100 Grass Alliance, sea race, plus the Buddhist race. A total of 7 major races, along with some miscellaneous small races. This should be the structure of the origin continent. Among the 7 races, the dragon race and insect race are mortal enemies. They will try to kill each other at any opportunity. The human race and demon race are hostile, but not mortal enemies. They won't fight to the death as soon as they meet. Like the human race, the demon race is not completely united internally and has its own conflicts and contradictions. I'm not very clear about the 100 Grass Alliance and sea race. The insect race should be united internally, while the dragon race also has internal conflicts. It seems that neither the human race nor the demon race has hostility towards the dragon race and 100 Grass Alliance. The Buddhist race is a system of its own, and I don't know about their internal situation. Lin Moyu quickly analyzed the situation of each race. What he found most interesting was that in his own great world, it seemed all 7 major races of the origin continent could be found. He wondered how the great world had evolved in such a way. It was truly miraculous. The 100 Grass Alliance was the last to arrive, and after that, no one else came. One day later, the stone pillars on the plaza lit up with various colors of light, then shot up 10,000 jong into the sky, illuminating the entire plaza in a dazzling display. Amidst the myriad colors of light, a black shadow slowly emerged. An immense pressure swept across the entire area. Lin Moyu felt himself suddenly sink. What powerful pressure! Lin Moyu had seen the Dao Venerate of the 7-colored sect before. When Wei Xin Dao Venerate used time reversal, he had unleashed powerful energy. But the pressure at that time was far inferior to what he felt now. The difference between the two was vast and incomparable. From this, it was clear that even among Dao Venerates, there were huge differences. Lin Moyu looked at the black shadow. Is this the king of the world sea? After the black shadow appeared, all the light gathered towards it, finally forming a colorful ethereal image. The ethereal image gradually became solid, eventually transforming to look exactly like a human. As the world sea king human, Lin Moyu immediately rejected this idea. His intuition told him it wasn't so. He noticed that whether it was the demon race, dragon race, or even the insect race, when they looked at the ethereal image, they all seemed to see it as an elder of their own race, with a hint of admiration. Lin Moyu immediately realized that this ethereal image was unusual. Everyone saw a different image. When humans looked at it, it appeared human. When the demon race looked at it, it appeared as a demon, and when the dragon race looked at it, it became a divine dragon. No matter which race looked at it, what they saw was the appearance of their own race. Instinctively, they would regard it as an elder of their own race. Lin Moyu instantly understood all this, his gaze becoming clear, truly powerful indeed. At the same time, his gaze swept through the crowd, wanting to see if anyone else was unaffected. Suddenly, a pleasant voice sounded in his ear. "Young friend, you are indeed extraordinary to be able to see through the essence." Lin Moyu found Lu Fengyao among the humans. Their gazes met in the air, and Lu Fengyao smiled at him. Like himself, Lu Fengyao's gaze remained clear, unaffected by the colorful light. Not just her, but the other high-level heavenly venerates were also the same. High-level heavenly venerates were indeed different from mid-level ones. Many mid-level heavenly venerates were affected. The World Sea King's deep voice rang out, "For this World Sea decree, you will all go to a special space. Your task is to go to the depths of this special space and bring back some special fish bones. The more special fish bones you bring back, the richer the rewards will be. That special space is dangerous. Please be careful. If there's danger, you can activate the World Sea Decree, which will protect your safety. Once the World Sea Decree is activated, you will lose the qualification for this exploration." As he spoke, the colors in the void intertwined to form the shapes of various fish bones. These fish bones were strange and varied, with all kinds of shapes. However, they had one thing in common: there was a peculiar pattern drawn on the fish bones. Lin Moyu memorized this pattern firmly. This World Sea Decree was just an exploration mission. The task seemed simple, but Lin Moyu felt it wouldn't be that easy. Someone asked, "Respected World Sea King, besides the fish bones, what else is in that special space?" Chapter 2432, 2432. Chapter 2432. Play this game slowly. Light and shadows intertwined, and the voice of the King of the World Sea resounded again. "There are many things in the special space. It is said that there might even be high-grade origin there. Whether you can obtain it depends on your luck." Luck. Lin Moyu understood in his heart that it probably depended on strength. That special space would definitely not be safe. Lin Moyu suddenly asked, "May I ask if there are high-grade spiritual materials inside?" The shadow looked over, its gaze seemingly substantial as it fell on Lin Moyu. It seemed very interested in Lin Moyu, looking at him for a while before slowly saying, "High-grade spiritual materials, there might be some." Lin Moyu asked again, "Besides the fish bones, how will other things we obtain be accounted for?" This was a question many people wanted to ask. The King of the World Sea replied, "Besides the fish bones, all other gains can be handled by yourselves. I will not interfere." Everyone showed joy on their faces. Besides the fish bones, all other gains could be kept for themselves. If they were lucky, they might obtain many good things. If they got a piece of high-grade origin, they would be rich. Moreover, obtaining the fish bones could also be exchanged for rewards from the King of the World Sea. Many people showed excitement and began to get a bit enthusiastic. People die for wealth, just as birds die for food. Lin Moyu remained calm in his heart. There is another meaning in his words. He doesn't care about other things, not even high-grade origin. But if someone obtains the fish bones and doesn't hand them over, he will kill them. What is the origin of these fish bones that makes them more important than high-grade origin? These people are too excited. They must be influenced by the King of the World Sea, their emotions stirred up, losing their usual calmness. This is the method of the King of the World Sea, influencing the emotions of heavenly venerates without them realizing it. At this moment, Lu Fengyao's voice sounded in his ear again, "That world should be very dangerous. Young friend Lin, be careful. If there is danger, you can use the Jade token to call for help. I will come as quickly as possible." Lu Fengyao was showing goodwill. She thought that although Lin Moyu was a genius, he was still just a peak supreme, and no matter how talented, his strength was limited. If there was danger, and she could help, she could form a good relationship. In fact, this was also a gamble, betting on Lin Moyu's background and future. Lin Moyu understood Lu Fengyao's thoughts and smiled, "Thank you, Senior Lu. I will be careful." At this moment, a sharp voice rang out, "Respected King, can we kill in there?" The King of the World Sea quickly responded, "Yes." This answer made some people with ulterior motives develop other thoughts. Killing was allowed there. If the dragon race and insect race encountered each other, it would be a fight to the death. Some members of the demon race set their sights on Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu immediately felt several gazes filled with killing intent, naked and undisguised. Lin Moyu did not respond to this. If they really encountered each other, it would be their bad luck. What surprised Lin Moyu the most was that some of the killing intent came from the human race. Someone in the human race wanted to kill him. Lin Moyu found it somewhat amusing. The internal complexity of the human race was indeed beyond imagination. The most troublesome part was that one of the faint killing intents came from a high-level heavenly venerate. That high-level heavenly venerate had previously smiled at him, looking like a kind elder watching a younger generation. But secretly, there was killing intent spreading. Come on, it's not that easy to kill me." Even if you are a high-level heavenly venerate, I'll make you shed a layer of skin. Lin Moyu steeled his heart. Whoever wanted to kill him had to be prepared to be counter-killed. Moments later, the king of the world sea asked in a deep voice, "Any more questions?" No one asked any more questions, so the king of the world sea continued, "Good, please get ready." The plaza roared, and the glow enveloped the plaza, turning it into a ball of light that quickly sank. The sinking speed of the plaza was very fast, crossing a long distance in the blink of an eye. Lin Moyu felt the changes in the world sea. We've already gone beyond 500,000 meters. Where is that special space? The space below 500,000 meters in the world sea was a place even heavenly venerates dared not enter. But now they were going in openly and grandly. Vaguely, Lin Moyu sensed a giant creature outside the plaza, sinking together with it. Although he couldn't see the creature's appearance clearly, Lin Moyu guessed one possibility: this creature was sent by the king of the world sea to protect them. It was even possible that this creature was the king of the world sea himself. With it escorting them, the plaza encountered no danger. Finally, the plaza stopped deep in the world sea. By now, they had descended an unknown distance. Lin Moyu estimated it to be over 1,000,000 meters. The colorful glow changed above the plaza, and the space became distorted. A special passage appeared in the air, leading to the special space mentioned by the king of the world sea. The voice of the king of the world sea sounded, "Everyone, please set off immediately." Without hesitation, countless people flew up simultaneously, rushing into the passage. Lin Moyu also slowly rose, following the crowd. At this moment, Lu Fengyao's voice sounded in his ear again, "Young friend Lin, be careful. The demon race wants to kill you." Lin Moyu smiled slightly, "I know." Not only did the demon race want to kill him, but there were also a few people in the human race who wanted to kill him. Just before entering the passage, Lin Moyu suddenly felt several marks appear on his body. A smile appeared on his lips. He hadn't gone looking for them, but they had come to him. Leaving marks meant they could find him. And through these marks, he could judge the strength of the opponents. A total of 382 marks. Quite a few people want to kill me. But why are you joining in the fun? Among the 382 marks, one came from that high-level heavenly venerate in the human race. His marking technique was very secretive. If Lin Moyu's spiritual sense hadn't been strong enough, he might not have sensed it. Lin Moyu pretended not to notice and followed the group into the special space. His vision blurred, and Lin Moyu experienced a teleportation. During this teleportation, even heavenly venerates would lose their sense of direction and could only follow the teleportation. Lin Moyu could roughly sense the direction of the teleportation through the law of space. He would be sent to another world, and the location was not fixed. It was imaginable that most people would scatter. But one thing was the same: everyone would only reach the edge of the special space. To find the fish bones, they would have to go deeper. What kind of special space is this? Why doesn't the king of the world sea come himself but sends us heavenly venerates instead? If there are restrictions, there are so many heavenly venerates in the world sea, why not send them? Lin Moyu pondered these questions while igniting the world-burning fire. Many marks were erased. Lin Moyu wasn't foolish. With so many people marking him, how could he fight them all? Of course, he didn't erase all the marks. He left 5 marks. All 5 marks came from low-level heavenly venerates of the demon race. He left their marks to let them find him, so he could kill them in return. Since they wanted to kill him, they had to pay the price. Lin Moyu's eyes revealed a dangerous glint. "No rush, I'll play this game with you slowly." Chapter 2433, 2433. Chapter 2433, Can you tell me why? As his vision cleared, a group of people had entered the special space. Several members of the demon race immediately sensed that the marks they had left on Lin Moyu had disappeared. They didn't know that Lin Moyu had removed the marks. In their view, a mere supreme like Lin Moyu wouldn't even be able to detect the marks, let alone remove them. They assumed it was an issue with the teleportation or the special space that caused the marks to disappear. "You're lucky. Don't let me catch you. If I catch you, I'll eat you alive." Some demons gritted their teeth, cursing Lin Moyu in their hearts. However, a few demon heavenly venerates noticed that the marks they had left on Lin Moyu were still there and immediately flew towards his direction. They wore cruel smiles, already imagining the scene of torturing Lin Moyu to death. In another part of the special space, a high-level supreme from the human race had a slightly gloomy expression. The mark disappeared. It seems this kid is quite lucky. Is it because of this space? Hope you can survive. Don't let me catch you alone. He didn't believe Lin Moyu had the ability to remove the mark he left and also attributed it to the special space. He began to survey the special space, looking for a direction. Lin Moyu was also surveying the special space. His intuition told him that this space was not safe. The king of the world sea calls it a special space. What exactly is special about it? There are mountains and water here. It looks no different from an ordinary world. Lin Moyu stood on a high mountain, gazing into the distance. He didn't fly up. Being new to this place, it was better to be cautious. Who knew what might happen if he flew up? It was better to be safe. With his extensive experience in exploring various secret realms, Lin Moyu had developed a keen sense for danger. In the distance, the sky seemed to have a huge tear, with a waterfall pouring down, hitting the ground. Lin Moyu could vaguely see what seemed to be a lake on the ground. This space is leaking, Lin Moyu thought to himself. This reminded him of the past Great World, which had many gaps where the waters of the world sea would pour in. The scene was somewhat similar to what he was seeing now. Combining this with the location of this space, Lin Moyu felt his guess was probably correct. This space, like the past Great World, had gaps, allowing the waters of the world sea to pour in. And with the waters of the world sea, there might also be creatures from the world sea entering. Given that this place was deep within the world sea, the creatures here would be extremely powerful, likely at the heavenly venerate level. I don't know how many years these gaps have existed, nor how many creatures from the world sea have entered. Where they went is also unknown. But this alone doesn't make it special. There must be other reasons. What exactly are they? Lin Moyu stood still like a statue, using his intuition to sense his surroundings. He didn't even use the eye of the undead. He had suffered losses in the real world of the great strength heavenly venerate before. Although he wasn't afraid of heavenly venerates now, it was better to be cautious. Under his intuition, he didn't sense any major issues. Lin Moyu's mind moved, and the lichen brocade appeared beside him. The lichen brocade activated its stealth ability and disappeared without a trace, flying forward. The lichen brocade continuously transmitted what it saw and felt back to Lin Moyu, giving him a sense of being there himself. The space here is very solid and cannot be broken through. The space gate is temporarily restricted, making teleportation more difficult and slower than usual. Power is also somewhat suppressed, but fortunately, it's not too severe. At least 70% of normal power remains. Lin Moyu could feel that this suppression came from the inherent rules of this space. These rules were very advanced. Although he was affected, he couldn't detect them without taking action. Let's try the power of time and space. Lin Moyu's mind moved, and the power of time and space flowed through him, causing the space to slowly distort and fold. The entire process was very slow. Although the power of time and space could still be used, it was greatly affected. Finally, Lin Moyu entered another layer of time and space. It looked like he was still in the same place, but he was actually in a different time and space. The power of time and space can still be used. That's good news. Being able to use the power of time and space was good news for Lin Moyu. The lichen brocade's speed was suppressed, and it took some time to reach the waterfall. Through the lichen brocade's vision, Lin Moyu saw a lake. There was indeed a lake, but it was different from what he had imagined. The lake was actually suspended in midair, forming a hemispherical water mass. Around the lake, water continuously overflowed, falling into a bottomless pit. What a peculiar sight, Lin Moyu thought to himself. He had the lichen brocade follow the overflowing water into the bottomless pit. The lichen brocade immediately flew downwards, and the vision became increasingly dark. The lichen brocade didn't mind the darkness and could see clearly even without light. Shortly after entering the pit, a faint light appeared ahead. Little blue-green glowing lights flew up from the pit, dancing like small insects. But in the next second, Lin Moyu's expression changed drastically. These glowing lights flew straight towards the lichen brocade, having detected it. As they got closer, Lin Moyu saw clearly that these glowing lights were not like small insects, they were the insects themselves emitting the light. Without thinking, the lichen brocade immediately retreated at high speed. But the insects were faster, catching up in the blink of an eye. One insect landed on the lichen brocade and exploded. The massive impact blasted the lichen brocade away. The Great Tao protection activated automatically, shielding the lichen brocade from the blow, but it was still severely injured, with half its body destroyed. What great power! Lin Moyu's eyes narrowed. The explosive force penetrated the Great Dao protection and still managed to severely injure the lichen brocade. The power of this explosion had reached the level of a mid-level heavenly venerate. Such an unremarkable little insect could unleash an attack equivalent to a mid-level heavenly venerate, which was truly shocking. Unfortunately, their attack method was self-destruction. After self-destructing, not even a trace of their bodies was left. Otherwise, Lin Moyu would have wanted to collect some and turn them into revived ones. Then he could use them to blow up anyone he didn't like. The lichen brocade was severely injured but managed to escape due to the explosion's force. Lin Moyu immediately recalled the lichen brocade. The insects lost their target and flew around randomly for a while before disappearing. Lin Moyu finally realized the danger of this world. If even a small insect was like this, there must be more dangers elsewhere. Just as he was about to try again, he suddenly looked to his left. A lizard-like demon was rapidly approaching. That was fast. Lin Moyu sensed the aura of the approaching demon, matching one of the marks he had deliberately left. It was a low-level heavenly venerate from the lizard branch of the demon race. The lizard branch hated humans and often clashed with them. Among the many demons, this one had shown the most hostility towards him. Unfortunately, it was just a low-level heavenly venerate, coming here was just delivering itself to him. Lin Moyu was curious the demon had flown all the way here without encountering any danger. It seemed to have good luck. But now, its luck was about to run out. The lizard heavenly venerate stopped 1,000 meters away from Lin Moyu, a cold smile on its face. Its long, thin tongue flicked in and out. I've heard that the blood of human geniuses is delicious. Today, I can have a good taste. Seeing no trace of fear on Lin Moyu's face, the lizard heavenly venerate was displeased. Boy, aren't you afraid of death? Lin Moyu shook his head lightly. I find it strange. You demons hate humans, yet you take on human forms. Can you tell me why? Chapter 2434, 2434. Chapter 2434. The segmented space. The lizard heavenly venerate tilted his head, looking at Lin Moyu as if he were an idiot. Lin Moyu immediately realized he had asked the wrong question. The question he asked was probably common knowledge on the origin continent, something everyone knew. Otherwise, the lizard heavenly venerate wouldn't have shown such an expression. Anyone who could become a heavenly venerate wouldn't be a fool, and the lizard heavenly venerate was no exception. Suddenly, the lizard heavenly venerate seemed to realize something and shouted loudly, I get it now. You have no background at all, and you're not some genius. You're just. Lin Moyu suddenly interrupted him. The bone hell appeared and enveloped the lizard heavenly venerate. Countless hellish spirits flew out, surrounding the lizard heavenly venerate. The eye of the undead in the sky gazed down, and waves of terrifying soul impacts bombarded the lizard heavenly venerate. The lizard heavenly venerate let out a miserable scream as his soul was impacted. Even as a heavenly venerate, he felt intense pain. A brilliant light erupted from his body, and a piece of armor automatically appeared, its immense power scattering all the hellish spirits. Naturally, a heavenly venerate couldn't be trapped by the bone hell. Lin Moyu never intended to trap him, he just wanted to buy a little time, even if it was just 1 or 2 seconds. The undying flame burned fiercely, and 100 skeleton kings flew out in response, charging into the bone hell to replace the hellish spirits, instantly completing the encirclement of the lizard heavenly venerate. By the time the lizard heavenly venerate recovered from the soul impact, all he could see were skeleton kings. The skeleton kings didn't give him any chance to react, simultaneously raising their bone swords. The Rule World appeared, filled with white bones and boiling laws. In the Rule World, the white bones transformed into countless sharp swords, which, along with the bone swords of the skeleton kings, struck the lizard heavenly venerate. Spell: White Bone God Slash. The white bone rules attacked the soul, while the skeleton king's swords destroyed the body. 100 skeleton kings struck simultaneously, and the lizard heavenly venerate didn't even have time to groan before exploding on the spot. Lin Moyu frowned. Not dead. He felt the lizard heavenly venerate's aura disappear for a moment, then reappear. A beam of light suddenly shot out, piercing through the encirclement of the skeleton kings and flying hundreds of miles away, revealing the lizard heavenly venerate's figure. At the place where the lizard heavenly venerate had originally died, there was something resembling a substitute puppet, already shattered. This treasure had saved the lizard heavenly venerate's life once. The escaped lizard heavenly venerate looked panicked and terrified. He didn't dare look back and flew away into the distance. If it weren't for the restrictions of this space, the lizard heavenly venerate might have escaped even further. Lin Moyu sneered, "You can't escape." With a snap of his fingers, another 100 skeleton kings appeared. The skeleton kings simultaneously swung their bone swords, slashing out again. The lizard heavenly venerate had been marked by the bone hell. It didn't matter if he escaped hundreds or thousands of miles, it was useless. The lizard heavenly venerate felt death approaching and immediately took out the World Sea Decree, trying to activate it, but he was a step too late. The white sword light shone again on the lizard heavenly venerate, and his expression turned pale as his consciousness plunged into endless darkness. His body and soul exploded simultaneously, turning into ashes. The skeleton kings flew over and brought back some remaining fragments of flesh. The World Sea Decree disappeared when he died, its whereabouts unknown. Fortunately, there's still some flesh left. Better than nothing. Lin Moyu chuckled inwardly and waved his hand, collecting the skeleton kings. Then Kei Jun appeared beside him, and Lin Moyu realized he still didn't understand the origin continent well enough. Some questions could be asked of Kei Jun, who would surely know. "Tell me, why do those demons take human form?" As a revived one, Kei Jun answered without hesitation, "Because the human race has the Tao body. Demons who want to walk the great Tao must eventually take human form. The higher their realm, the more perfect their human form becomes. Demons above the Tao venerate level are almost indistinguishable from ordinary humans." Lin Moyu continued to ask, "What about the dragon race and the insect race?" Kei Jun replied, "The dragon race also has the Tao body, so they don't need to take human form. However, some dragons do take human form to travel in human territories. As for the insect race, I don't know." This question was indeed common knowledge, known to almost all cultivators on the origin continent. No wonder the lizard heavenly venerate had realized something was off. Lin Moyu thought he should have Kei Jun explain all the common knowledge to him. Following Lin Moyu's instructions, Kei Jun quickly explained some common knowledge. Unfortunately, as a revived one, Kei Jun's memory was incomplete, and some memories were lost. While Kei Jun was explaining, Lin Moyu sent out a batch of skeleton generals to begin exploring this special space. He himself remained in place, not in a hurry. After all, the king of the World Sea hadn't specified a time limit. Moreover, the king had only mentioned that the special fish bones were in the depths of this space, without specifying a location. Without knowing whether this space was round or flat, it was impossible to determine what depths meant. If this space was round, the waterfall he had seen earlier might lead directly to the depths, and he would need to find a way to enter the pit. If it was flat, he would need to find the correct direction. There was also the possibility that this world was irregular, which would be troublesome. The skeleton generals flew in all directions, and Lin Moyu believed he would soon get an answer. This world was vast. Even after flying for a while, the skeleton generals found nothing. There were many mountains and rivers, lush green trees in the mountains, and moss and other plants in the water, making the world seem full of life. After flying far away, the skeleton generals activated their undead vision, but there wasn't a single soul fire in sight. With over 10,000 people entering, the fact that the skeleton generals hadn't encountered anyone yet indicated the vastness of this world. The people who entered were scattered everywhere. The lizard heavenly venerate finding Lin Moyu so quickly was just good luck. Suddenly, a skeleton general crashed into an invisible wall and was forcefully bounced back. Lin Moyu immediately connected his vision and saw nothing through the undead vision of the skeleton general. Returning to the place where it had been bounced back, the skeleton general encountered an invisible barrier. Soon, more skeleton generals encountered invisible barriers and were bounced back. As more skeleton generals encountered barriers, Lin Moyu finally understood the size and shape of the area he was in. It was as if he had entered a dome, and the shape of the dome was irregular, with edges and corners. The approximate diameter was several million miles. Compared to the vastness of the great world, which spanned billions of miles and hundreds of thousands of light years, this was relatively small. However, given the suppressed speed and difficulty in using space laws here, a range of several million miles wasn't small. Lin Moyu fell into deep thought. This special space can't be just this small. If this special space is divided into countless areas of varying sizes and shapes, it would make sense. I've seen similar environments before. One of the inheritances left by the Saint Rune Heavenly Venerate was in a similar situation. From what I can see now, I must go through that big pit to enter other areas. Lin Moyu sent out more skeleton generals to continue the search, while he himself flew towards the waterfall. In the space he was currently in, apart from the waterfall leaking from the sky, there was nothing unusual. If his guess was correct, the people who entered were divided into different areas. Some might be in the same area, like himself and the lizard Heavenly Venerate, but most were likely separated. As he got closer to the waterfall, Lin Muyu felt the strong aura of the World Sea. The aura of the World Sea emanated from the waterfall but was confined to a certain range by a mysterious force. After a careful search, Lin Muyu was 90% sure that the waterfall was the key to leaving this space. Chapter 2435, 2435. Chapter 2435, Two Paths, Both Difficult. Standing in front of the waterfall, looking at the bottomless pit, Lin Muyu did not immediately enter. The skeleton generals were still searching, and Lin Muyu wanted to make a final confirmation if there were any other paths besides the one in front of him. The pit was not safe, and if possible, he didn't want to go in. Earlier, the brocade lich had nearly been killed. Those little insects in the pit were terrifying. The skeleton generals searched every corner thoroughly, entering deep mountains and old forests, diving into lakes, digging 3 feet into the ground, but found nothing. It seems there's only this one path left. The insects in the pit are not easy to deal with, but we have to try. Lin Muyu's mind moved, and a batch of skeleton generals charged into the pit. As they went deeper, the pit became darker and darker until all light disappeared. Soon, tiny blue-green glowing lights appeared. Lin Muyu frowned slightly, not living beings. The eye of the undead remained open, and in its view, these little insects had no soul fire. Having no soul fire meant these insects were not living beings. If they weren't living beings, then what were they? A skeleton general swung its sword, unleashing white bone sword energy that illuminated the pit. For a moment, the pit seemed to become a world of white bones. The sword energy engulfed the little insects, but contrary to Lin Muyu's expectations, it didn't cause an explosion. The little insects ignored the sword energy, passing through it with their unique blue-green glow, and landed directly on the skeleton general. Boom! An explosion sounded, and the skeleton general was instantly shattered. The number of insects was astonishing. They passed through the sword energy at incredible speed, quickly finding their targets. Explosions continued non-stop, and countless skeleton generals were blown to pieces. Although the explosive power was strong, it was extremely concentrated. One insect was just enough to kill one skeleton general, very precise. The Undying Undead ability took effect, and the skeleton generals quickly revived and regenerated. Lin Muyu was grateful that he had upgraded the Undying Undead to the origin level, allowing it to still function after leaving the Great World. The sword energy actually had no effect. These insects have no souls and ignore sword energy. What exactly are they? Lin Muyu summoned more skeleton generals to replace the previous batch and continue deeper. They had barely advanced when another batch of insects flew out, ignoring the sword energy and landing accurately on each skeleton general. Amidst the explosions, the skeleton generals were once again shattered, then quickly revived. The Undying Undead could revive skeleton generals 6 times within 60 seconds. As long as the timing was right, these skeleton generals wouldn't truly die. Lin Muyu divided the skeleton generals into 6 groups, alternating them to explore deeper. This way, he could ensure the skeleton generals wouldn't truly die. For now, he couldn't find a way to deal with the insects, so he could only use this suicidal method to explore. As they went deeper, there were more and more insects, seemingly endless. Moreover, the frequency and number of insects appearing increased, and even using 6 groups of skeleton generals in rotation was barely enough. Lin Muyu frowned deeply, pondering a solution. This method of mine is definitely not right. If it were someone else, they wouldn't be able to pass through this passage at all. Even a high-level Heavenly Venerate probably couldn't do it. There must be another way. But in the pit, besides the insects, there was only the World Sea waterfall pouring down from above. Lin Muyu suddenly realized that these insects indeed never entered the waterfall. Could it be that the waterfall is the correct path? Lin Muyu thought to himself. He had considered this before, but when approaching the waterfall, he had felt a sense of unease. Now he tried sending skeleton generals into the waterfall. The moment they entered the waterfall, Lin Muyu lost control of the skeleton generals. The waterfall contained immense power, directly sweeping the skeleton generals towards the deepest part. At the same time, waves of enormous force struck the skeleton generals like heavy hammers. The skeleton generals only lasted a few seconds before being shattered on the spot. The damage from the World Sea ignored Lin Moyu's innate ability to connect, and all the damage was borne by this single skeleton general. Not only was the innate ability blocked, even the undying undead lost its effect. When the skeleton general shattered, it was truly dead. Lin Moyu immediately sensed that the number of skeleton generals had decreased by 1. The world sea water here comes from below 500,000 meters, possibly even reaching 1,000,000 meters. The deeper in the world sea, the stronger the power it contains. The impact force has already exceeded the limit that a supreme can withstand. Even low-level heavenly venerates probably couldn't last long. If the waterfall is the correct path, then this path is equally dangerous. Or perhaps both paths are correct, just with different approaches. Lin Moyu had a guess in his heart, feeling that both paths were actually correct. Going through the pit meant finding a way to deal with the insects, while going through the waterfall meant being able to withstand its impact force, and it was unknown how long this impact force would last. There were 2 choices, and everyone could choose based on their own situation. The only common point was that neither path was easy. After careful consideration, Lin Moyu decided to choose the path through the pit. Compared to the waterfall, this path was more suitable for him. Moreover, Lin Moyu was very curious about the origin of these insects. The skeleton generals continued to advance in batches. Although the speed was not fast, they were still making progress. When 6 batches weren't enough, they could be divided into 12 batches, 24 batches. There were plenty of skeleton generals, so there was no fear of running out of rotations. Lin Moyu also followed the team into the pit, gradually going deeper. After advancing an unknown distance, the number of insects continued to increase. Now the skeleton generals were divided into 24 batches, encountering a batch of insects almost every 2 or 3 seconds. Amidst the continuous explosions, a slight smile appeared at the corners of Lin Moyu's mouth. He had finally figured out how to break through this situation. Deep in the world sea, a plaza was glowing brightly. The formation in the plaza kept the world sea water out. Outside the plaza, there was a huge figure covering half of it. Anyone who approached would be mercilessly killed by it. Suddenly, a faint light appeared on the empty plaza. A World Sea Decree appeared on the plaza and was then taken away by a force. The World Sea Decree was originally carried by each heavenly venerate. Now that the decree had returned without the heavenly venerate, it meant this heavenly venerate had died. Gradually, people began to appear on the plaza, holding World Sea Decrees, with shocked expressions. When they realized they had returned, their faces showed expressions of wild joy. Some also had dejected looks, standing motionless. Everyone's emotions were different, but without exception, they had all narrowly escaped death, almost dying in that special space. If it weren't for relying on the World Sea Decree at the last moment, they wouldn't have been able to return at all. Only now did they realize that the special space wasn't just a bit dangerous, it was extremely dangerous. As time passed, more and more people returned, and more World Sea Decrees came back. They finally realized that being able to escape back was fortunate. Those whose World Sea Decrees returned alone had already died there. The path of cultivation is fraught with danger at every step, with danger and opportunity coexisting. All heavenly venerates knew this point. Dying halfway was a common occurrence. Chapter 2436, 2436. Chapter 2436. Killing oneself. Lin Moyu merged the laws of time and space, combining them into the power of time-space. Under the suppression of this special space, either space or time power alone would be restricted if used separately. Fortunately, after merging them together, although the effect of the time-space power was greatly reduced, it could still be used. The skeleton generals now also carried the power of time-space. Under Lin Moyu's will, they also used the time-space power to enter another layer of time-space. In an instant, the insects lost their targets and flew around chaotically in the void. A smile curved Lin Moyu's lips. It worked as expected. These insects had no souls, ignored attacks on the physical plane, and could accurately lock onto the skeleton generals. So the only way was to avoid their lock-on. Lin Moyu had thought of several methods, including using the bone hell to devour them, but their self-destruct power was too great, the bone hell probably couldn't withstand it. Finally, he decided to try using the power of time-space to avoid them, and it proved effective on the first attempt. The power of time-space allowed the skeleton generals to enter another layer of time-space, causing the insects to lose their targets. The insects flew around randomly in the void, passing through the bodies of the skeleton generals. Although they overlapped, Because they weren't in the same time-space, they essentially didn't collide. The power of time-space is truly marvelous. Lin Moyu manipulated the power of time-space, flying downward together with the skeleton generals. Without the insects obstructing them, their speed increased significantly. Lin Moyu remained vigilant. In this place, no one knew what might happen. After flying for a long distance, light finally appeared in their vision. Seeing the long-awaited dawn in the darkness, Lin Moyu sighed lightly. We've finally reached the exit. The light grew stronger, gradually filling their entire field of view. At the same time, the blue-green phosphorescence became increasingly dense, with the number of insects reaching its peak. In every inch of space here, there were dozens or hundreds of insects flying around. The number of insects in the entire space was incalculable. As they flew, the insects made no sound at all. Despite their wings clearly vibrating, it was eerily silent. What is this? In the area where the insects were most densely concentrated, Lin Moyu saw a stone. This stone was floating in the void, oval-shaped, with a diameter of about 1 meter. It also emitted a blue-green light, even more vivid than the insects. Light points constantly flew out from this stone, turning into small insects. So this is the source of the insects. No wonder the insects have no souls, they're just light points emitted from this stone. If the light points are already so powerful, how strong must this stone be? Lin Moyu wanted to obtain this stone. He felt it was an extraordinary object. A skeleton general reached out its hand, passing right through the stone. Under the influence of the time-space power, the skeleton general couldn't touch the stone. Lin Moyu found himself in a dilemma. In the time-space power state, he couldn't obtain the stone. If he removed the time-space power, these insects would immediately swarm over and self-destruct. Although he had many skeleton generals, there were also countless insects here. Moreover, Lin Moyu wasn't sure if the insects' self-destruction would trigger other reactions from the stone. But if he gave up now, Lin Moyu felt somewhat reluctant. He knew this stone must be an extraordinary object. Even if it wasn't a powerful magical treasure, it was at least a heavenly venerate-level material. Whatever it was, it would be excellent for summoning elemental liches. Lin Moyu calculated in his mind, there are probably about 100 million insects here. If I use the skeleton generals to lure them away, I might have a chance. Thinking of this, he immediately acted. Lin Moyu retreated from this area and released more skeleton generals. The skeleton generals densely filled the entire pit. Then Lin Moyu returned to the stone's side and removed the time-space power from the skeleton generals. A light sound echoed through space as over 100 million skeleton generals simultaneously removed their time-space power and descended into the physical world. Countless insects, like wolves that had been starving for 3 days and nights suddenly smelling blood, frantically rushed towards the skeleton generals. Even at this moment, the insects maintained good formation. Each skeleton general was allocated 1 insect, with no crowding or fighting, everyone got their share. After the self-destruct sounds began, they didn't stop. Countless skeleton generals were blown to pieces, with shattered white bones scattered throughout the pit. Seeing all the surrounding insects flying towards the skeleton generals, Lin Moyu steeled his heart and removed the time-space power, pressing his hand against the stone while frantically pouring his soul power into it. If it was a magical treasure, he would refine it. If it was a material, he would imprint his mark on it. Boom! A huge sound exploded in his ears, and Lin Moyu's whole body shook violently. A sense of rejection transmitted from the stone. It didn't like Lin Moyu's soul power. A special will burst forth from the stone, and Lin Moyu instantly knew what this stone was. It's actually a spiritual material. The king of the world sea wasn't wrong, there really are spiritual materials here. Lin Moyu hadn't expected to encounter a spiritual material so soon after entering. The spiritual materials he had searched for in vain before were now right in front of him. This material had very strong spirituality, as if it was about to develop intelligence. It strongly disliked being controlled by Lin Moyu and instinctively wanted to resist. The stone shook, scattering countless light points that turned into insects flying towards Lin Moyu. At this point, Lin Moyu couldn't possibly give up. The brocade lich appeared, using great Tao protection. The undying golden body activated, with flames igniting all over his body. At the same time, his soul power surged wildly, accelerating the refinement process. Lin Moyu decided to face it head-on, to see who was faster. The insects landed on Lin Moyu and exploded violently. Lin Moyu let out a muffled groan, his body trembling. The enormous power passed through his body and fell onto every member of the undead army. So that's how it works. After personally experiencing the explosion, Lin Moyu finally understood how the insects attacked. The insects themselves had no attack power, but they could detonate their own laws. In other words, the skeleton generals were attacking themselves. Lin Moyu felt that just now, part of his own laws had been detonated by the insects, directly attacking himself. This type of attack was equivalent to self-harm. Most defense methods would be ineffective. The skeleton generals seemed to explode, but in reality, the explosive power was concentrated only on themselves, not affecting others. Moreover, the power was just enough to kill themselves. Quote, "The world is full of wonders." Once he understood what was happening, he immediately thought of a countermeasure. Lin Moyu actively dispersed all his laws. For a moment, his body was completely empty, with only his blood chi still roaring, without a trace of law power. When the second insect landed on Lin Moyu and exploded with a bang. This time, Lin Moyu didn't move at all. He no longer had any laws for the insects to trigger. Once there were no laws, the insects' attack power was almost non-existent. I didn't expect it to be so simple. Lin Moyu intensified his efforts to refine the stone. The stone resisted more fiercely, but Lin Moyu held on tightly, not letting it escape. Finally, his soul power left an imprint on the stone, and this spiritual material became Lin Moyu's possession. The vibration stopped, all light was retracted, and the insects no longer attacked. Streams of information flowed in, and Lin Moyu finally knew exactly what this stone was. Chapter 2437, 2437. Chapter 2437, Are you coming to die? There are countless living beings in the world sea. Besides various schools of fish, there are also shrimp, crabs, insects, snakes, and all kinds of other creatures. Deep in the world sea, there is a special creature called the stone insect. Stone insects are extremely rare, only occasionally found in the world sea at depths exceeding 500,000 meters. Stone insects are very peculiar. After they die, they turn into a stone, which is their corpse. Then all their consciousness merges into their own corpse, waiting to be reborn with awareness, essentially reviving themselves. During this period, the stone is like a spiritual material. To protect themselves, stone insects scatter countless insects. These insects exist between the virtual and real, can ignore most attacks, and can trigger the enemy's own laws to attack. This is also a way for stone insects to protect themselves. Once successfully reborn, the stone insect can undergo a division, splitting into a new stone insect, turning one into two. It is through this cycle of death and rebirth that stone insects have managed to multiply and survive until now. Unfortunately, this time it encountered Lin Moyu, and after its death, it couldn't wait for rebirth. Lin Moyu obtained a spiritual material, placing it into his rule world. Lin Moyu brought the stone insect in front of Infinite Fusion, asking, "Do you want it?" Infinite Fusion had no reaction, seemingly in deep sleep. Lin Moyu pushed the stone closer, directly touching Infinite Fusion. A suction force appeared, and the sleeping Infinite Fusion firmly absorbed the stone insect. Watching the stone insect being sucked in, Lin Moyu chuckled, even asleep, it doesn't forget to eat. He could feel that after absorbing the stone insect, Infinite Fusion's aura began to recover rapidly. At this rate, it wouldn't take long to recover, and might even become stronger than before. It really does need spiritual materials. Lin Moyu knew his guess wasn't wrong. Spiritual materials could indeed help Infinite Fusion recover its power and even strengthen it. Spiritual materials were its food, and it was very picky. Each time it ate, it needed something better than the last time. Now, even if given a low-grade spiritual material, it wouldn't eat it. Withdrawing his consciousness from the real world, Lin Moyu saw that the pit was now empty, with no more blue-green insects. All he could hear was the sound of the waterfall pouring down. Lin Moyu looked towards the exit ahead. The waterfall rushed out from this exit, and Lin Moyu followed the trajectory of the waterfall, bursting out from the exit. The world changed from dark to bright, becoming clear. Lin Moyu found himself standing high in the sky. The waterfall fell tens of thousands of meters, like heavenly water crashing into a vast ocean. Below him was a vast expanse of water. Looking into the distance, the ocean seemed endless. In the ocean, he could faintly see some islands in the distance. The ocean surged, with waves crashing. When Lin Moyu saw the ocean, he realized it wasn't safe. The water flowing in the ocean was from the world sea, and from the depths of the world sea at that, which was extremely dangerous in itself. Not to mention that there might be other dangers lurking in the ocean. The waterfall flowed in from the world sea, and over so many years, some creatures must have been brought in. These creatures would not be easy to deal with. This world is divided into many areas, and different areas should have different levels. If where we first entered was the outermost layer, then we should have entered one layer now. Lin Moyu instinctively checked the marks on his body. Of the 5 marks he had left, only 2 remained now. Besides the lizard heavenly venerate he had killed, 2 other heavenly venerates had also died. Lin Moyu was about to resume his old job of sending skeleton generals to explore the space when suddenly he looked to the distance. In the distance, beyond his sight, he sensed strong auras approaching. Activating his undead vision, he saw 2 soul fires. From the intensity of the soul fires, he could tell they were both mid-level heavenly venerates. The soul fires were constantly colliding. The 2 mid-level heavenly venerates were fighting. Lin Moyu didn't want to get involved. No matter who was fighting, it had nothing to do with him whether they lived or died. He sent out over 10,000 skeleton generals, dispersing them in all directions. Lin Moyu didn't need to do anything, just wait quietly. The skeleton generals planned to first explore the edges of the space, then enter the ocean to search for potential dangers. Lin Moyu didn't want to meddle in others' affairs, but one of the fighting heavenly venerates suddenly flew towards him, clearly having discovered him. Lin Moyu frowned but didn't leave. He wanted to see what the other party intended. They could fight all they wanted as long as they didn't provoke him. He didn't care if they fought until the sky fell. But if they involved him, Lin Moyu wouldn't be polite. The 2 soul fires approached rapidly, and Lin Moyu finally saw clearly. The one in front was a demon, while the one chasing behind was actually a huge flying fish. It's him. The mid-level heavenly venerate demon belonged to the leopard clan. This clan wasn't slow, but obviously his speed was no match for the flying fish. Shaking it off seemed difficult. Looking at him, he was already injured in many places, and his aura was not as strong as at his peak. Lin Moyu remembered him. He had been very loud before, showing hostility towards humans. He was one of those who had placed a mark on Lin Moyu. At that time, this mid-level heavenly venerate demon had been imposing, his whole body radiating dazzling light, as if each hair was like an arrow, a deadly weapon. But now, his fur was disheveled, much of it cut off, exposing his skin. Obviously, he was no match for the flying fish and was in a very sorry state. The flying fish was over 1,000 meters long, with 2 pairs of huge wings. The wings were as thin as cicada wings but extremely sharp, reflecting a metallic luster. The flying fish flapped its wings, launching attacks that cut space, leaving fissures. The leopard heavenly venerate let out a strange cry, immediately accelerating and changing direction, dodging the attacks. Lin Moyu was inwardly shocked. The flying fish's attacks were very powerful. This space was extremely solid, and it was difficult to create fissures. Clearly, this flying fish's attack power was top tier even among mid-level heavenly venerates. However, Lin Moyu also noticed that the flying fish had many wounds as well. This flying fish, though its attack power is strong, its defense is average. It's just that its body is huge, so these injuries are just flesh wounds to it. Its attacks are too powerful. The leopard heavenly venerate can't block them, so he can't change his form and can only rely on agility to cope. Unfortunately, he's also outmatched in agility. It seems this guy is coming over to divert trouble to me. Lin Moyu quickly analyzed the other party's intentions clearly. The other party was coming with ill intentions. Lin Moyu became vigilant. Heavenly venerates all had secret techniques. No heavenly venerate was truly easy to deal with. He couldn't be careless just because he had killed heavenly venerates before. When the leopard heavenly venerate saw Lin Moyu, he showed a look of joy, but more of cruelty. It's actually you. I was just worried about not finding you, but I didn't expect you to deliver yourself. Lin Moyu sneered, I was looking for you too. The leopard heavenly venerate laughed loudly, looking for me. Looking for me to die. Lin Moyu smiled and said, you'd better worry about yourself. You can barely protect yourself now. The leopard heavenly venerate's face changed, and suddenly his whole body shone brilliantly as he let out an angry roar. Lin Moyu's rule world shook, and the world tree rustled, stabilizing the rule world. This roar contained an extremely strong soul impact, causing Lin Moyu to be momentarily dazed. Taking advantage of Lin Moyu's daze, the leopard heavenly venerate threw something at him. By the time Lin Moyu came to his senses, the object was already in front of his eyes. The flying fish that had been chasing the leopard heavenly venerate suddenly changed direction, charging towards Lin Moyu. So this is his method of diverting trouble. As soon as this thought arose, the leopard heavenly venerate let out another roar, impacting Lin Moyu's soul again. Although the days only lasted for a moment, in the current situation, a moment's days could be fatal. Chapter 2438, 2438. Chapter 2438, really? No. The leopard heavenly venerate kept harassing, launching soul impacts at Lin Moyu again and again. This kind of attack was troublesome. Though not very powerful, it could make the soul fall into a momentary daze each time. In actual combat, it might not be very useful, but for harassment, its effect was quite strong. Even the battle-hardened Lin Moyu was annoyed for a moment. Killing intent rose in his heart. You're asking for death. Seeing the flying fish about to arrive, Lin Moyu inwardly roared angrily, and the brocade lich instantly appeared. The brocade lich grabbed the thing thrown by the leopard heavenly venerate, activated brocade night travel, and disappeared without a trace. The flying fish suddenly lost its target, pausing in midair for half a second before changing direction and continuing to chase after the leopard heavenly venerate. The leopard heavenly venerate was stunned, not understanding why the flying fish was chasing him again. Something's wrong, where's that thing? The leopard heavenly venerate suddenly noticed that the thing he had thrown was gone. His gaze intertwined with Lin Moyu's in the void, and the leopard heavenly venerate's heart suddenly sank, realizing something was amiss. This brat is up to something. The leopard heavenly venerate was alarmed, guessing that Lin Moyu was behind it, but not knowing how he did it. The flying fish was now swooping towards him, its speed terrifyingly fast, and he had to flee for his life again. Lin Moyu naturally knew what was going on. After getting the thing, the brocade lich had activated brocade night travel and flown towards the leopard heavenly venerate. Though the flying fish couldn't see it, it could sense the location of the thing, so it naturally chased after it. Through the brocade lich's vision, Lin Moyu finally saw clearly what this thing was. A fish bone. His mouth twitched slightly. It was actually a fish bone, with a special pattern on it, exactly the fish bone the World Sea King had asked them to find. So he had obtained a fish bone, and the flying fish wasn't actually chasing the leopard heavenly venerate, but tracking the fish bone. Indeed, these fish bones aren't so easy to get. After activating brocade night travel, the brocade lich's speed was extremely fast, quickly catching up to the leopard heavenly venerate. The leopard heavenly venerate was unaware of the brocade lich's arrival. The flying fish was tracking the fish bone, but to him, it seemed to be chasing after himself. Lin Moyu's gaze turned cold. Now, it's my turn. With a light tap of his finger, the bone hell appeared, enveloping the leopard heavenly venerate. The sudden appearance of a hell before his eyes made the leopard heavenly venerate's face change drastically. Then, the eye of the undead gazed over, and soul impacts fell upon the leopard heavenly venerate. The leopard heavenly venerate let out a miserable scream, his soul racked with waves of pain, and his speed suddenly slowed. The leopard heavenly venerate looked at Lin Moyu through the pain, his eyes filled with intense killing intent. Lin Moyu sneered, I can use soul attacks too. His whole body burst with brilliant light, transforming into a giant leopard that instantly tore apart the bone hell. Against a mid-level heavenly venerate, the supreme level bone hell could only harass, far from enough to stop him. Lin Moyu hadn't expected to hurt him. The bone hell being torn apart was normal. This delay allowed the flying fish to get closer. The leopard heavenly venerate had no choice but to temporarily suppress his anger and continue fleeing. Lin Moyu's lips curled into a smile. That was just the appetizer. Now it's time for the main course. The bone hell was indeed just an appetizer. Besides delivering a soul impact, it was mainly to complete the marking. Snap. A crisp snap of fingers, and flames engulfed the heavens and earth. Over 100 skeleton kings appeared in the void, locking onto the leopard heavenly venerate and simultaneously raising their bone swords, their movements perfectly synchronized. The rule world appeared behind the skeleton kings, white bones everywhere, fierce and terrifying. Spell. White bone god slash. The leopard heavenly venerate suddenly felt danger descending and turned his head to see the skeleton kings standing in the void beside Lin Moyu. A full 100 low-level heavenly venerates, swinging their swords at him. Not good. The leopard heavenly venerate let out a strange cry, but sword light had already flashed on his body, his soul once again impacted. White bone laws rushed into his rule world, launching a fierce attack on his rule world. The attack drilled from the rule world into his soul, causing him unbearable pain. His body simultaneously endured 100 white bone god slashes, blasting holes all over. In an instant, flesh and blood flew everywhere, and countless drops of heavenly venerate blood rained down from the sky. The blood fell to the ground, boiling and burning like lava. A heavenly venerate's blood alone was enough to kill a supreme, but now it was flowing out as if it cost nothing. The brocade lich moved, quickly flying to the leopard heavenly venerate's wounds and stuffing the fish bone inside. Because his soul was under attack from the white bone laws, the leopard heavenly venerate didn't even notice the brocade lich's actions. By the time he struggled out of the intense pain, the flying fish had already arrived. The flying fish flapped its wings, slashing out countless attacks. Each attack shook space, creating countless fissures. Numerous laws were annihilated under the flying fish's attacks. The leopard heavenly venerate let out a strange cry and fled again, dragging his wounded body. He was truly scared now. Lin Moyu's methods were too bizarre. He felt that if he kept playing along, he would die. Lin Moyu chuckled lightly, "It's not over yet." Buddhist chants rang out as the Buddhist lich flew forth. In the eternal Buddhist kingdom, 1,000,000 believers turned to ash, sacrificing themselves to the Buddha. Lin Moyu flicked out 10 drops of ancestral water, falling onto the Buddhist lich. The Buddhist lich's aura instantly surpassed Peak Supreme, stepping into the heavenly venerate realm. Spell: Fate's Great Tao. The Fate's Great Tao appeared, locking onto the leopard heavenly venerate's future fate. The leopard heavenly venerate's hair stood on end, feeling danger descending from the depths of his soul, even more dangerous than before. What did he do? What did he do? The leopard heavenly venerate roared inwardly, but with the flying fish chasing closely behind, he could do nothing, not even having time to look back. The Buddhist lich raised its fist, fusing the power of 1,000,000 believers and 10 drops of ancestral water, launching an attack through the Fate's Great Tao towards the future leopard heavenly venerate. Whether by coincidence or design, the Buddhist lich's attack timing was perfect, hitting the leopard heavenly venerate at his weakest moment. Lin Moyu vaguely saw the scene in the Fate's Great Tao. At some point in the future, the leopard heavenly venerate was severely injured, on the verge of death. Given time, with a mid-level heavenly venerate's abilities, he could still recover. Unfortunately, the Buddhist lich's fatal blow descended, completely extinguishing the leopard heavenly venerate's hope. One punch fell, and the leopard heavenly venerate in the Fate's Great Tao was shattered to pieces. The damage traveled along the Fate's Great Tao, descending upon the present in an incomprehensible manner. The fleeing leopard heavenly venerate suddenly let out a miserable scream, countless wounds bursting open on his body, blood raining down like a downpour. His soul was also severely injured. Some of the wounds on his body were caused by the soul injury. This was the terror of void power. One didn't even know where the attack came from, killing enemies invisibly. His vision darkened, nearly fainting on the spot, his whole body falling from the sky. At this moment, another burst of pain came as the flying fish's attack arrived. Its wings sliced through the leopard heavenly venerate's body like sharp blades, cutting him in two. Blood mixed with internal organs fell from the wound, along with the fish bone. The flying fish immediately turned, no longer paying attention to the leopard heavenly venerate, directly chasing after the fish bone. Half of the leopard heavenly venerate's body crashed down from the sky, landing on an island. His physical body and soul were both severely injured, on the verge of death. Lin Moyu came before him, expressionless, looking down at him from above. "You're about to die. Pity, I don't even know your name. Do you have any last words you want me to take back? I'll give you this chance." The leopard heavenly venerate seemed to know his fate as well, his voice trembling. "Really?" "No." Lin Moyu's cold voice shattered his last hope as the skeleton kings simultaneously raised their bone swords. Not only killing the person but also crushing their spirit. Chapter 2439, 2439. Chapter 2439. Not planning to let any of them goth leopard heavenly venerate's half-body, along with his soul, was chopped into paste, truly scattered to ashes. Lin Moyu collected the other half of the body, turning it into his weapon. The leopard heavenly venerate also had a storage treasure, a bracelet, which wasn't damaged in the attack. Lin Moyu took that as well, planning to examine its contents later. The ocean exploded with a roar, raising a 10,000-meter water column. The brocade lich burst out of the ocean holding the fish bone, with the flying fish in hot pursuit, countless attacks sweeping across the sky. The brocade lich held the fish bone, wrapped in the Great Tao, activating Great Tao protection to barely withstand the flying fish's attacks, but it couldn't hold out for long. Earlier when the fish bone fell, Lin Moyu had the brocade lich chase after it, getting to it before the flying fish could. Having finally found a fish bone, how could he easily give it up? This time, Lin Moyu chose to take everything, not just the fish bone. He wasn't planning to let the flying fish go either. He had his own considerations. That high-level heavenly venerate from the human race harbored killing intent towards him. If they encountered each other, it wouldn't be easy to deal with. Before that, he needed to make more preparations. The corpse of a mid-level heavenly venerate would naturally be the best weapon. The brocade lich was in a somewhat sorry state under the flying fish's pursuit. The difference in strength between them was too great. Even with great Tao protection, it could only hold out for a short while. Lin Moyu snapped his fingers, unleashing a sea of fire. From the sea of fire, 400 skeleton kings emerged simultaneously, like a terrifying army. Adding to the 100 skeleton kings from before, this was the first time Lin Moyu had summoned all 500 skeleton kings. The more skeleton kings there were, the stronger they became as they amplified each other. 500 skeleton kings could increase their combat power by at least twofold, almost reaching the limit of low-level heavenly venerates. Although still some distance from mid-level heavenly venerates, when quality wasn't enough, quantity would have to make up for it. Appearing alongside the skeleton kings was Kei-jun. Strike! Lin Moyu's mind moved, and 100 skeleton kings raised their swords simultaneously, locking onto the flying fish. Spell: White Bone God Slash. The Rule World appeared, white bones transforming into countless sharp blades, slashing out a terrifying strike. The sword light exploded on the flying fish, blasting off large chunks of flesh. At the same time, its soul was attacked by the white bone laws, dense wounds appearing on its body, many scales bursting. Even its wings developed spider web-like cracks. The flying fish screamed incessantly, turning its head to look at Lin Moyu. Its eyes were filled with bloodthirst, but in the next second, it still continued chasing after the brocade lich. Although it had been attacked, it still prioritized the fish bone. This scene made Lin Moyu wonder, was the fish bone really that important? The World Sea King needed the fish bone, and even the flying fish valued it so highly. What use did this fish bone have? What secrets did it hold inside? Though curious in his heart, the skeleton king's swords didn't stop. Another 100 skeleton kings raised their swords, slashing down again with another 100 simultaneous white bone god slashes. The flying fish screamed again, letting out a sharp cry. This time the wound was even more severe than before. A huge gash appeared on its body, blood gushing out frantically, dyeing the ocean red. The flying fish looked over angrily, its eyes bloodshot, its killing intent even stronger than before. Lin Moyu could see it was hesitating, unsure whether to continue chasing the fish bone or turn back to kill him. The brocade lich kept its distance with the fish bone, always maintaining a certain distance from Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu vaguely felt like he was back in a game fighting a boss. This fighting style was similar to the kiting tactics he used before. Attracting aggro from two sides, making the boss unsure which to focus on. The flying fish turned again, once more locking onto the fish bone. Just as it turned, the third batch of skeleton kings raised their bone swords. Suddenly, the flying fish's wings vibrated intensely, its speed reaching the extreme in an instant. It appeared above Lin Moyu as if teleporting, its wings vibrating, attacks falling like raindrops. Space cracked in many places, the attacks like sharp blades cutting through heaven and earth. The island Lin Moyu was on was instantly cut to pieces, sinking with a rumble. Countless dust particles rose to the sky. The skeleton kings used their swords as shields, blocking in front of Lin Moyu, charging towards the flying fish. Kei-jun stood in front of Lin Moyu, blocking most of the attacks for him. As a revived one, Kei-jun didn't fear death or injury. His body developed countless wounds under the attacks, but no blood flowed from them. This attack is truly strong. Not bad, not bad. With you, many things will be easier to handle. Lin Moyu's eyes brightened. In terms of pure attack power, the flying fish's attacks were top tier among mid-level heavenly venerates. Even peak supremes might not be able to withstand its attacks. Although its attack method was simple, the most crucial point was that it was practical. Especially after becoming a revived one, its attacks would become even more powerful. An attacker with powerful strikes who didn't fear death, one could imagine how terrifying that would be. The skeleton kings had already reached the flying fish, 500 skeleton kings surrounding it completely. The flying fish attacked frantically, slashing out countless invisible blades. The skeleton kings couldn't block them at all suffering injuries. For a moment, white bones rained down. The skeleton king's bones were cut apart, becoming incomplete. However, this didn't affect the skeleton king's combat power. As long as they could still wield their swords, the skeleton king's fighting strength wouldn't be diminished. Sword light exploded frantically, wound after wound appearing on the flying fish's body. White bone god slashes fell on the flying fish again and again, carrying white bone laws, attacking both flesh and soul simultaneously. K-Jun also joined the battle. As a mid-level heavenly venerate, his attack power surpassed the skeleton king's. He alone was worth dozens of skeleton kings. With K-Jun's containment, the pressure on the skeleton kings was obviously reduced. The flying fish was deeply trapped in the encirclement, seemingly unable to break free. But Lin Moyu felt it still wasn't secure enough. He snapped his fingers again, and the Dragon Rider Legion entered the battle. 100 billion dragon riders forming 1,000 legions filled the sky, surrounding the flying fish in countless layers. The flying fish was completely trapped in the encirclement, with no possibility of breaking free. Under the Legion commander's orders, the Dragon Rider Legion continuously launched charging attacks against the flying fish, ramming it and making it scream incessantly. The death dragon breath spewed out, roasting the flying fish. Whether it was effective or not, the main point was harassment. The white bone battle formation was deployed, white bone laws gathering into a sea, instantly turning the world into a realm of white bones. Endless attacks continuously eroded the flying fish's vitality. Finally, after more than 10 minutes, the flying fish's life came to an end, forcibly ground to death by Lin Moyu's human wave tactics. "This is like ants eating an elephant," Lin Moyu said with a smile, flicking out the undying flame. Origin level spell, Resurrection of the Dead. The just deceased flying fish was immediately revived in the flames. Its aura was even stronger than when it was alive, almost touching the realm of high-level heavenly venerate. The flying fish's attack ability was extremely strong, though its defense was weak. Lin Moyu felt that after becoming a revived one, its attack power could now threaten even high-level heavenly venerates. As for defense, because it was a revived one and didn't fear death, this shortcoming was largely mitigated. Moreover, it would self-destruct before dying. The power of its self-destruction was probably difficult even for high-level heavenly venerates to withstand. Lin Moyu put away the undead army and leapt onto the flying fish. With such a powerful fighter, his actions in this special space would be much more convenient. Chapter 2440, 2440. Chapter 2440, the home of the flying fish, origin crystals. The skeleton generals were still exploring this space. This space was obviously larger than the previous one, so the exploration would take some time. The brocade lich brought the fish bone back and handed it to Lin Moyu. The fish bone felt warm to the touch, like top-quality jade. Just by touching it, one could feel its extraordinary nature. The fish bone had a beautiful pattern on it, which looked like a rune but wasn't exactly a rune. Lin Moyu had never seen this pattern before. From the pattern, he felt a mysterious and powerful force. This force was like a law, but not exactly a law. Its existence surpassed Lin Moyu's understanding. Lin Moyu could feel its grandeur and power, but he couldn't truly touch it. "This is not my power, I shouldn't covet it." Lin Moyu felt a sense of awe. The king of the world sea dared to let them search for the fish bones and wasn't afraid of them keeping the bones for themselves, so he must have a way to control them. Facing someone who might be more terrifying than an ordinary Dao Venerate, Lin Moyu didn't dare to gamble. Standing on the flying fish, Lin Moyu asked softly, "Are there any other fish bones here?" The flying fish wasn't very intelligent. Although it was powerful, it only had some simple instincts. It seemed to not quite understand Lin Moyu's question and looked very confused. Lin Moyu waved the fish bone in front of the flying fish. "Are there more?" This time, the flying fish seemed to understand. It first shook its head, then nodded. Shaking its head and then nodding, did it mean yes or no? After asking a few more questions, the answers were still ambiguous. Lin Moyu thought for a moment and roughly understood the flying fish's meaning. There were no more fish bones in this space, but there were more in other places. Just as Lin Moyu was inquiring, a skeleton general suddenly lost contact. The skeleton general wasn't dead, it had just lost contact. Lin Moyu immediately rushed to the location where the skeleton general lost contact. He stood on the flying fish, letting it carry him. Soon, he arrived at the location and saw a slightly distorted space. Through the space laws, Lin Moyu could roughly sense that this space had formed a passage leading elsewhere. There must be a powerful force that divided this special space into many small spaces. These small spaces are not completely disconnected but are linked together in some special way. And the fish bones the king of the world sea is looking for are distributed among these spaces. Lin Moyu wanted to go through, but he knew that once he went through, he might not be able to return. So before going through, he needed to search this space thoroughly to see if there was anything he might have missed. He wasn't in a hurry. The king of the world sea hadn't set a time limit. More skeleton generals flew out, conducting a carpet search of the entire space. They didn't miss a single island. The skeleton generals even entered the ocean to search. The ocean was made of water from the world sea, and it came from a depth of 1,000,000 meters, containing immense power. The skeleton generals couldn't last more than 10 seconds before shattering. Lin Moyu had to summon the skeleton kings to replace the skeleton generals for the search. They searched inch by inch, almost digging 3 feet into the ground. Soon, a skeleton king found a cave at the bottom of the ocean. The cave started from the seabed and was deep and long. Lin Moyu had the flying fish take him into the ocean. The undying golden body was fully activated, turning Lin Moyu into a fiery figure, resisting the impact. The impact of the world sea water was too strong. The undying golden body couldn't hold out for long. The most troublesome part was that the impact of the world sea water seemed to contain some special rules, ignoring damage transfer and connection. All the impact couldn't be transferred to the undead army and had to be borne by Lin Moyu alone. Lin Moyu released the revived thorn fish. The peak supreme level thorn fish only lasted 5 seconds before exploding. The world sea water didn't care that they were fish. The result of insufficient strength was death. Arriving at the cave entrance, Lin Moyu didn't enter. Just by looking, he knew that the cave belonged to the flying fish beneath him. Lin Moyu imagined the whole process. The flying fish usually lived in the cave, guarding the fish bone until it was taken away. Lin Moyu asked, "Is this your home?" This time, the flying fish seemed to understand and nodded vigorously. Lin Moyu asked again, "Is there anything else inside?" The flying fish nodded again, then shook its head. It seemed there were things inside, but nothing important. Lin Moyu asked, "Are there any other fish besides you here?" This time, the flying fish seemed to understand and only shook its head. Lin Moyu said, "Go inside and bring everything out." He had the flying fish fetch the items while he left the ocean. The undying golden body had reached its limit. Staying any longer would cause it to shatter. Lin Moyu stood in midair, watching the surging ocean. This won't work. If other spaces also have such oceans, I won't be able to explore them. It seems I need to get more revived beings like the flying fish to replace the skeleton generals for exploration. Lin Moyu thought to himself and had an idea. In the future, whenever he encountered fish like heavenly venerates here, he would try to kill them and turn them into revived beings. Moments later, the flying fish flew out of the ocean, opened its mouth, and spat out everything it had brought from its home. Several familiar auras hit Lin Moyu's face, and his eyes lit up. Origin crystals. Among the items the flying fish brought back were several origin crystals, and they weren't low grade. They were all 4th grade origin crystals, more than 10 in total. This was an unexpected surprise. He hadn't expected to find origin crystals here. The king of the world sea was right. Besides fish bones, there are other treasures in this special space. And these treasures can be kept for personal use. It seemed that in the eyes of the flying fish, only the fish bones were the most precious. Other things, including the origin crystals, were of no use to it. Lin Moyu collected the origin crystals and examined the remaining items, finding nothing of value or use to him. Let's go. Having searched this space thoroughly, Lin Moyu stood on the flying fish and headed towards the passage. After a brief teleportation, Lin Moyu found himself in another ocean, with the previously lost skeleton general not far away. This space was similar to the previous one, also composed of an ocean and islands. The water sparkled, and the sea surged. Though the world looked the same, Lin Moyu felt a difference. In this ocean, there were more than one living being. The eye of the undead scanned the area, revealing many soul fires. These soul fires were scattered throughout the ocean, numbering at least in the millions. These soul fires weren't very strong, only at the low-level heavenly venerate level, slightly stronger than the skeleton generals but not as strong as the Dragon Rider Legion or the Skeleton Kings. Lin Moyu's gaze swept through the void and saw a group of soul fires gathered in the distance, seemingly doing something. Lin Moyu immediately had the Brocade Lich go ahead to investigate. The Brocade Lich moved swiftly and silently, arriving there quickly. Through the brocade Lish's vision, Lin Moyu finally saw what was happening, and his expression changed slightly. Let's go. He instructed the flying fish to move immediately.